Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Speaking of patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Maximum Gravy, Austin Whitsitt, John Kays, DL Hill, Julian Jeremiah, Michael Kahn, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Mel B. Styles, Troy Shuker, Bose Nail, Samson, Maris, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Mike, Dick Earth Skeptic, Maria Neeland, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Liam Negrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Fireball X, theflatearthchannel.com, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Use the sextant. They've navigated by the sextant. I'm reading comments, and it has nothing to do with triangulation. It's like, wait a minute. You've been on a boat. You actually used it. But have you read the theory behind it? Have you read the schools that teach it? And have you read a sextant manual to know how it works? And they are using it, but they're not thinking that it involves triangulation for some reason. So they want to fight against that word. And yet when you go to any real source of how sextants work and navigation schools, it's all about that. So it just proves you can use a tool, say it works on a globe, and not understand what the heck you're doing.
Yeah, it's like me. I use a cell phone. I don't know how the hell it works, but I know it works. Now, if you break down the intricacies to it, then yeah, I could say, hey, and somebody comes along and says, no, the cell phone actually works like this. And it's impossible to work like the other way. And I'm fighting against it. I don't know if it's a bad analogy, but...
No, that's a good analogy, and I'm sure many other things could be used for it. But all they got to do is do a little reading and say, oh, I've been using this all this time. I didn't know it involved triangulation. Oh, so that's what dip height correction is. I got to get my eyeballs to the water level so that I can have that baseline be straight. Oh, the reason it needs to be straight is because the radius from the GP of the sun to me is a straight line. And I've got to get my eyes on that straight line, or else I'm going to be off. That's the beauty of understanding how this tool works and why you have to bring your eye height to the water.
I mean, that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, but you're a baller and you've used the sextant. You're going to say, well, you guys have never even touched one and you've never used one, so you're wrong just because you haven't touched it. Well, first of all, I have touched one. I've never used one. I don't need to use one. I don't have a boat yet. But the point is, I know how they work.
And then when Nathan gets a hold of something, it's all over.
Well, it's funny, like I've been saying, it's all going to lead back to the Black Swan, because that's how the whole thing started, was the Black Swan. And so when he was talking to Virus the other day, and Virus started to talk about seeing straight, Nathan tied it to their excuse arguments for the Black Swan, which is we don't see anything straight. Everything's refracted on their ball curved existence here. And so it's like, wait a minute, you've been telling us for 18 months, nothing's straight in your model. So now you're telling us it's straight? It just, it just was like, wow, that was such a good pickup by Nathan right there.
Yep. And it's so beautiful when they hang themselves. And it's like they're making the noose tighter and tighter as they blabber out of their mouth like virus. He just keeps making that noose tighter and tighter.
Yeah, he admitted it's an angle measuring device. Then he fought how angles are measured. It's like, what? You just admitted it was an angle measuring device from the horizon to a star. And then you're fighting how an angle is measured or an angle is defined.
And then he's laughing in the back. My head hurts. Yeah, a good admission there. My head would hurt too if I was in your position.
Yeah, he's referring to when you laugh hard, you get that funny feeling behind your head. So it's even worse. He actually believes. He's so caught up in this globe stuff. He literally is laughing so hard his head hurts.
Well, the telling thing was when you said there's no hope for you, because that's exactly what I was thinking in my mind. When you take him through it, and then he still is in denial, it's like there's no hope for you.
Well, there isn't. If they're going to say a radius line is straight, and then argue the rest of the time that it's not, you just gotta dump the kid, Harry. I mean, let this guy go on believing whatever he wants. I mean, he's just past the stage of comprehension, back and forth. I mean, all you got to do is do a little research. I mean, look at Mitchell from Australia did lots of research and put out one of the best videos I've ever seen.
Just a little research, right? But if they're in denial and they're anti-flat earthers, then it's a game they're playing.
They got to keep the veil over their eyes because they don't like the alternative. I don't know why they don't like the alternative, but they don't like it.
And sometimes I think he just don't realize what he's saying. Like he was arguing the other day from our point of view. Like, do you not get what you're saying?
That's the problem. They fight both sides. We only fight one side. We're objective. We're not subjective.
He doesn't get when we welcome him to flat Earth. He doesn't get it. That everything he just said, he's declaring a flat Earth. He just does not get it. Well, he will not get it. Well, one or the other, but.
Yeah, I don't know. That's like if you're objective and you're seeking answers to things, and you hold both positions, and they're both opposite, and then you go to sources, and it's only one position. Something's terribly wrong with your mind. This is just the two of us? Where's everybody?
There's a few people in Discord. We're all just listening to you chit-chat.
No. I was thinking you're getting coffee or doing something. Pushing buttons, maybe.
Yeah, always, but, man, I'm not going to interject if there's a decent conversation going on.
Yeah, so I'm reading this guy, Level Guy is his channel name, and he's responding saying he's used the sextant, he's sailed with it, and I don't doubt him, probably has. Just like, excuse me, just like the videos I watched, people use the sextant, and even have courses and teach it. They're actual navigators who've sailed 50, 40, 60,000 nautical miles using a sextant, and they believe they did it on the globe. And then when you go to the books and study the theory of the sextant, written by the same people, and the manufacturers of sextants, talks about triangulation, talks about getting your eyeball to the level of the water. Gee, I wonder why that's important. Let's see, the radius line from the GPTU is straight, and you can't be off of that, or else you'll be off your target by over 20 miles. I think it's pretty consistent argument with putting out there forward, and these people still, yeah, but I used it, and you're wrong. Yeah, you may have used it, but I'm not wrong, because your own books tell you what I'm telling you. Everything I say comes from their side. There was not one flat earth sextant website, not one flat earth sextant manual. There was nothing sextant flat earth related that I even delved into. I just said, what did they say it is? And so I can't help it if the people using the tool don't know what it is and want to believe they're doing it on the globe. That's their mental illness.
I really like the way Brian summarised the dip correction in terms of what it does to the actual mathematics that you're performing when you do this triangulation. And that is to say that you're dealing with triangles, therefore it's a geometric consideration, to use their terms against them, because it is a geometric measurement that you're taking when you measure that triangle with a right angle to it. So Brian said by doing the dip correction, what you're actually doing is you're taking away anything to do with any optical effects. Now it is purely geometric. Well, that's the best way to put it, because suddenly it's like, yeah, they've just spent the last 21 months telling us how they haven't got a geometric horizon. And this tool necessitates a geometric horizon because you're going to be using it with a flat, square triangle to the bottom of it. That would be the GP of the star. So you've got to have a flat plane for this to work, and when it works accurately, it's working on a flat level surface with a flat level triangle. That's how it works. Nothing to do with optics whatsoever. So when you phrased it originally, like, cuts through all the refraction, it's like, well, it cuts through all the refraction because you're ignoring it, because you're doing it geometrically. You're using a triangle with a flat bottom, proving the Earth is flat and debunking the notion that it can be done on a curved surface.
That's right. 100% right.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. It's like we reversed everything on them.
Yeah. When you do this triangulation, you're doing it with purely a geometric consideration in mind. How does this right angle triangle work? That's all you're considering. Well, the principles that must apply to the land in order for that to be a geometric only calculation means it must be flat. There can't be any other way for it to work. It is as simple as that. And Brian's right. As soon as you make it how it's actually used and done accurately, it is purely geometric. And they've just, like I say, spent 21 months telling us how they haven't got that geometric horizon anymore. We can't see it. We wouldn't expect to see it. You wouldn't get to see it unless you sucked out the sphere-shaped air atmosphere. Epic. Couldn't be better. 2021 is, if arguably better than the year of this Black Swan, because suddenly, after 21 months of thinking, God, this is getting tedious with them going, refraction, suddenly you go, okay, yeah, you're giving us every justification in the world for why we haven't got any geometry to see and we couldn't possibly see it. Now we need it for this tool that does work. What are you going to do now? Tell us that you can just see it, therefore it's straight, like Virus did. That ended well.
But I thought they loved mathematics.
How many apples can you take away from me and still make math work?
Well, it's not necessarily about how many apples to take away in mine figures. It's more about the fact that we haven't got a geometric horizon on a sphere anymore. Their sphere Earth horizon is geometric for it to be Earth curve, a physical obstruction at the horizon with drop and dip values ascribable to it. The moment they say, well, we can't see that unless you suck out all the atmosphere, it's like, okay, well, anything that needs and requires a geometric measurement to be done, including but not limited to your R value and triangulation, you haven't got one anymore. That's the end of the globe. Because it wouldn't function, can't function, is impossible to function when you actually deal with reality. And what's reality presenting us with? Well, a flat plane. That's what it's actually presenting us with. And when we use the tools that use straight flat lines to work on it, it works out beautifully. No geometric considerations needed in terms of a sphere Earth horizon that you don't have anymore. Merely a use of triangles. On a flat plane, the one we actually work on.
Precisely.
I'm saying geometry is a lot of mathematics. So I'm so happy when mathematics debunks them.
Afternoon,
Hey,
guys.
Adam. Hold on one second. You there, Adam? Can you hear us?
Yep. Sound check. That all good?
Sound check. Good, good, good.
Very, very good. Good afternoon, gents.
Very excited to be here. I am. I don't know about
Buzzing.
you.
Buzzing.
Owen had a good show today. I actually managed to catch it.
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors.
You got it.
Go on, Adam.
That was hard work, that one. He says, "Oh, I'm not sure about the picture." I said, "Don't you dare when you give me a brief like, I want rock, paper, scissors with the black swan, 7/6 R and R." So that was...
It's good because
Make that
we get
make that
thumbnails
to
aside. Thumbnails aside, we get to see a different side of Arwen on his own show. So if you typically only know of Arwen from this show, he spends 70-80% of the time just being a baller to be... I was going to say a dick, but he's not being a dick. He's actually incredibly useful because he puts that side of the argument across, making it a true debate. Anyway, Arwen's normal show, he's sitting in my seat in this show, if you will. So he's debunking this stuff. And sometimes I forget that a lot of the things that we talk about have actually come from descriptions that Arwen summarised the best. One of them being the Arwinian paradox, which is to say that you can't derive an R value from a geometric horizon if you're refracting the horizon with an R value. It's a paradox. Well, that's the Arwinian paradox. It was originally summed up by him, not as concisely as I just did, but obviously time has progressed. Nevertheless, it got his namesake. And today he was detailing that on his own show, but not as Baldwin, as a fire-breathing, flat-earth demolishing machine. Just totally different Arwen when you see him on his own show. I love it. I mean, I watch Arwen's show regularly. In fact, I'm a little bit gutted when I miss it for whatever reason. But my point is, you do get to see a very different side of Arwen in terms of how he behaves and how he will detail certain arguments. That is, if you're not used to Arwen, or obviously most of you are his mate like I am, or Adam is, or whoever else, you might be a little bit surprised at. Because you might think, oh, well, he's that guy on the debates that's sort of putting the globe arguments forward and keeping people on their toes and playing the devil's advocate position of anti-flat earther with their double-speak rhetoric and sometimes even the Fundy muting. Well, there's none of that on his own show. He's just cut him through and he's flat earth right through. And you can really, really pick up on that when he's ripping people to pieces in his chat and detailing things like the Arwinian paradox. So be here or be sphere for Flat Earth Early Bird with the addition of the Adam Meakin thumbnails that it's currently getting.
Make no mistake, Arwen's a Terminator when it comes to flat Earth.
But I like him because he's like a great magic trick, isn't he? So I think it's a line from Devil's Advocate, the movie Devil's Advocate, and he's like, "I'm the hand at Mona Lisa's skirt," right? I'm a surprise. People don't see me coming is basically the point he's trying to make. Well, Arwen's a bit like that because he kind of he gives off this vibe of, hard to phrase, kind of a bit vague and, might be an easy target, but he's far from it. He's about as sharp as they come, and very insightful and also very whimsical, if that's the right word. He's got a good imagination, so he's got quite a broad scope of stuff to offer, but often he'll present himself in quite a two-dimensional way. I know he does it intentionally. I've known him for long enough to know how he behaves without giving away too much of his tricks. But yeah, it's like I say, it's a bit shocking when you just see him on his own doing his thing, and he's like hitting every single mark concisely. It's just great. Anyway, I like Arwen's show.
Nah, but I missed it as well today. I've been running a bit late, so sod's law, innit? Always a good one. I will.
Can't hear you too quiet.
That later on.
I'm down one speaker. I'm down one speaker, so it's just not as clear in this room. You have to speak up a little bit, though. You are a little bit quiet.
Speak up, Adam. Speak up.
Speak up, boy. Yeah, no, I say I missed it today, but if he's been Spitting Fire. I might go back later on this evening and have a little recap of that. That sounds fun. It is a very different. Arwen does the right word, probably castrate himself a little bit on here for the sake of the show. So it's good to hear him when he does go actually play for be the proper flat earther he is, because respectfully he does do us a favour here, doesn't he? Because the ballers have all run off.
Also, not when it's necessarily ball earth things that he's detailing. It's sometimes the case that he's got. I hear something. Where's the noise coming from? I don't know.
Probably Eli.
No, it's in here. It's a stray child's toy. I'm going to be right back before I start the live show because that's going to drive me nuts. Talk amongst yourselves.
It's a battery-powered child's toy. Every time you kick it, it makes noise.
He's walking around the room kicking over pillows and blankets looking for a toy.
It's like my grandkids left one of these balls with the lights in it, so when you hit it, it lights up. And my dog, whenever he sees it at night, he goes crazy.
Yo, I literally went nuts looking for stuff. There was a noise coming from somewhere. It was talking very low, very quiet, and I'm like losing my mind. And it was a toy.
Jackie
that
from
was
Child's Play.
That was quick. Arwen, we were in the after show, and we were just talking, and it was just yesterday when he came up with that rock paper scissors. He's already got a show on it, so props to Arwen.
Yeah, I left. I couldn't get a word in, so
You'll notice it's rigged. The game, the way the arrows go. Look, you see the R beats 7/6R, but the Black Swan beats 7/6R and R. So it's not a very good game. You just have to go Black Swan each time and you win.
Well, you gotta keep it. It's based on reality, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they say math is reality, right? It's a reality with this geometric horizon, that's for sure. Been debunked by the sexton.
It was a neighbour. So one of the things I've saved up my pennies for to invest in, specifically for the show, is triple glazing. And recently I finished it a couple of months ago, maybe a bit less. Anyway, that noise, I was like, where's it coming from? It wasn't a toy. No, my neighbour's got his door open or window open, and I can just hear them playing music. That's what it was, music. So I shut my triple glazed windows, clunk, silence instantly.
Yeah, I was wondering what your neighbor was doing under your couch.
Now, out the window. So it's hot here, so I've just got all the windows open. Well, you know, we're going to start late, I don't care now. So on Podcastage, which is a show that talks about mics mainly, does mic tests. But he was pointing out that when you're making a recording, which obviously we all are now, the audience doesn't care if you're too hot or if, you know, you've got no air conditioning or whatever else. You know, they care about the sound of the helicopter going over when they can't hear what you're saying. Same goes for having a fan. You know, I do have a fan, but I've positioned it such that hopefully it's not being picked up by the mic. Point is that the audience doesn't care about your discomfort. So shutting the windows will make it hot in here, but it means that there's no music bleeding into my mic, which is the worst possible case scenario that could be. Anyway, enough of my moaning about technical stuff. It's made me late.
Hello.
Hey, Arwen.
Hey, Arwen.
Hi, Arwen.
Darwin's not going to join when you start, and he's here.
Yeah, I've been Nathan shut down my fan, so I'm suffering.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now we are joined by Eli, the Adam Meakin, 10th Man, Arwin, who did I miss? Neil, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. Welcome one and all.
Greetings.
Woo! We're a rowdy bunch.
Hello. Hello, Earthlings.
Checkmate.
Hello.
Checkmate.
Hello. Good to hear you all. Happy voices, all of you. We were plugging the Flat Earth Early Bird show in the pre-show. So Arwin wasn't here, but he was getting a lot of props because he had a really good show today. I'm sure he'll tell us all about it after the housekeeping. But subscribe today to Flat Earth Early Bird. We were singing your praises about how good your show is today, Arwin, while you weren't here. I'm sure you're pleased to hear.
Yeah, it was very intense. I had like 4 anti-flat earthers in chat, and they were all going at it. Oh, and it's hot in here as well, so.
Well, whatever you do, don't turn on your fan because Nathan will make you shut it down.
Oh, I just twigged what you were talking about. So in the pre-show, we were talking about noises that pollute a live show, that the audience doesn't want to hear, the sounds that you might think, it doesn't matter if I can hear the neighbours shouting outside my window, I'm hot. Well, in my case, I'm like, no, I've got to shut the windows because I can hear my neighbours. So that was done, but then 10th started saying, well, Nathan made me very uncomfortable because of a fan, and it cast my mind back on a previous pre-show. I've said, is that a fan you've got going in the background, 10th? And he's like, yeah. Like, turn it off. Can't have that nonsense. What are you talking about? You can't have a fan on. You can hear it.
I've been chastised for that as well, 10th.
You
No, I
can hear
know.
it. Nobody
Well,
else can.
that's why he has a hot panel.
That's right. Keep you guys feisty, keeping you a bit too hot. Right, let's do a bit of housekeeping. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curve? Everyone on Discord should be off mute if you want to join in.
You need an off for that.
Yeah,
Need a
terrestrial refraction. But then they don't have R. So then no terrestrial refraction, and then black swan. And then the terrestrial refraction to counter that, but they don't have an R value. Then they need it, so no terrestrial refraction. So then the black swan. And so on and so on.
It has a proper name, Arwin.
Arwinian paradox.
Take the credit, dude. We were covering that as well pre-show. But that was your discovery's not the right word, but you kind of summarized it best with the paradox.
But the thing is, though, I'm going to be a bit nitpicky, that Arwinian paradox was very specific about the conflict with the establishment of the radius, but the black swan terrestrial refraction radius value 3 arguments are really more about the argumentation that flat earthers will go through with anti-flat earthers when discussing the proof for the radius, for the horizon being Earth curve, right? That's really the cycle you're going through. So the Arwinian paradox is really like a mechanical thing, like a dead end that mathematically cannot be solved. But when I say black swan terrestrial refraction radius value, that's not technically the Arwinian paradox, but it rests on that. It's more about the argumentation.
So in case anybody's not following along with what we're talking about, the argument for the black swan is that if the Earth is a sphere radius 3959, then every distance to the horizon, that would be Earth curve, can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Now that 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet is Earth curve by assertion with Earth curve geometry. So that's not anything exceptional or something that we should be held accountable as being a straw man, as they did originally. But just to move on. Now, because the black swan demonstrates that the horizon is beyond those geometric limitations at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, a la the curve maths, then you no longer have a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon. And that is precisely what we're told by anti-flat earthers in rebuttal. Words to the effect of, we wouldn't expect to see geometry. Nobody's claiming we see physical geometry. The horizon is not geometric. These are all quotes from our opponents. So we're pretty clear then. What we're seeing is refraction. And that's what they tell us. You're seeing refraction, we're not seeing the actual geometric horizon. That's the one you wouldn't expect to see. Another quote. I kid you not. So, if you can't see the geometric horizon as we are told in response, then you can't measure it. And if you can't measure it, you can't get R from it. Further to that, the refraction they're claiming is based on R. So you can't get R because you haven't got a horizon to measure it with because it's apparently refracted, but it's refracted with a rate that's based on it being capable of being measured to get R to refract it with. That's the black swan paradox in full, with all of the details of the stages that came, including them claiming that us saying their claim of Earth being a sphere radius 3959 would give them a geometric horizon at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's their globe claim, which they then told us was a straw man, because they didn't appreciate that that was their actual own claim. We're just debunking it when we show it's beyond those limitations with the black swan.
Right, and that's where Akumu Virus yesterday started to engage in another level of cognitive break by basically claiming that all the light is refracted, but that he would still have a straight line of sight to things.
Welcome to Flat Earth was the response, because according to them it's bent. Everything's coming to your eyeball in a curved manner because of a rate of R-based refraction known as terrestrial refraction or standard refraction, and those refractive values mean that you're never seeing anything in a straight line ever, without exception. That's what they're making clear in response to the black swan. It's always refracted. Duh, the refraction is. It's refracted. Refracted, refracted, refracted. That's all we ever hear. So, okay, not geometric then. That's right, not geometric. Why are you holding up this straw man that we say we are supposed to see a geometric horizon? Okay, so we're all clear then. We're not supposed to see the geometric horizon. We wouldn't expect to see the geometric horizon. The geometric horizon only exists in the maths. It's not the horizon we see. The apparent position where the sun, the sky meets the land or sea, is a refracted position based on the geometric horizon that we can't see, therefore we can't measure to refract it into a non-geometric position. But we're all clear we haven't got a geometric horizon according to our opponents on the anti-flat earth side. We don't have a geometric horizon. Okie dokie then. So let's now move over to the sextant. Right, 10th? We haven't got a geometric horizon, but we're going to be needing one to draw a straight line to it for this tool to work. Where'd you get that? Oh, well, we just look at the horizon and assume it's a straight line to it. What, in complete contrast to the 21 months of telling us it's refracted? I don't think so.
And I just a little add on that point. We talked about 10th and the sextant and the purpose of that horizon and using it as a level is to get a straight line. Now, if you were to step onto the ball and reify your horizon as the leading edge of that ball, then there isn't a point where the horizon is ever going to create a level for you. As you are able to see further because you're higher, you end up pointing the sextant down more and more. So even that bit, the basic setup operation before you've even taken an angle, requires the premise that the horizon is there to align for a straight line, not as it would be on the ball, be dipping further and further the greater the view, which would necessitate it never to be level. Even at 3 miles, if you're horizon, it's still going to dip down, isn't it?
Got your slide up, 10th.
Yes, let me get to it. I'm sending you a second one. So it's the one with the flagpole or the star in the middle and the 4 tennis shoes.
Yeah, for us. Starts for us.
Here we go. This is from blueplanetcruisingschool.com. They have a course in celestial navigation. For us, moderns, the concept of a line of position is easy to grasp. Tie a string at the top of a high straight pole. Tie the other end to your shoe. Walk around the pole while keeping the string taut. The string will form the same angle from the base of the pole to your shoe, then to the top of the pole. Everywhere along your path, that is a circle of equal altitudes. This is the angle you will measure with your sextant. HO, height observed, I believe that stands for. If you take any small segment or arc of that circle, then it will seem almost a straight line. And that is your line of position. So when you take a sextant reading, you know that you are somewhere on the circumference of a circle that goes around the geographical position of that body, with the center being the GP of the body. You also know the azimuth, Z-bearing, of the body will be a line drawn from the GP to your position and perpendicular to the tangent of the circle of position at your position. Welcome to Flat Earth. Sextant, year 2021.
Hey, John.
Hey, how you doing?
Very well. Good to have you.
If there was one reference that kind of summarized it, it's that one right there, Nathan.
The last slide or the one that you were just reading?
The one I was reading. Now I'll finish up with the last slide. Sighting and plotting one body yields one line of position. If you take near simultaneous sightings of 2 bodies, their 2 circles of positions will intersect in only 2 places, and one will be your position, the other being improbable, as being located over land, perhaps, or in the wrong ocean. If you manage 3 stars taken near simultaneously, feasibly for all intents, the purposes on a slow-moving ship, then you can fix your position accurately at the single intersection of 3 lines of positions. The image shows a real fix taken by a ship at sea, 1200 GMT and 29 October 2005. Moon height observed 56 degrees, sun height observed 40 degrees. The circles are elliptic due to the projection of the chart, courtesy Wikipedia. Those 2 slides destroy the ball Earth. Those 2 slides destroy any rebuttal from anybody who says we are not citing proper sources for the sextant. For goodness sake, they gave you an image of a pole with a string tied to your shoe and keeping that string taut so you can form an angle. And they said it needs to be perpendicular. And you all agree radius line doesn't bend. Welcome to Flat Earth.
Quick question. These 2 triangulatable positions, obviously it's not 3 because one's over the land and you said they were at sea, so that puts them at the top position. You don't need to make a third for this to give you your position at sea. As I say, the second is over land. However, both of these circles are, regardless of their slightly distorted shape due to the projection, areas of equal altitude. In other words, all of these are the same elevation. And described by the maypole, if the center point was a maypole and you were standing on the outside edge holding a piece of string, you could walk all the way around holding the string at the same angle in a circle, like you used to do with your compass. But every position on the edge of that circle to the GP of the star is flat and level, because you're performing triangulation. It must be a right angle at the maypole position, if you will, to the star above it, which is hard to see because this is obviously directly overhead, so I can't move my mouse in a way to show you that. Nevertheless, the line that moves out to your feet, if you're at this position in the ocean, well, that line is straight, and if you moved all the way around, would be straight and flat in every direction. Same applies for this circle. Everything out from the center to the edge, moving around in a full circle, is flat. So, all of this area, for this triangulation to work, must be flat. In case you hadn't picked up on this subtle inference that I'm drawing, Earth is flat. There is no two ways about that.
Go to the next slide, Nathan, and it'll describe it perfect.
Okay.
So you've got here the intercept method, and you've got HO, which is observed altitude, and that's from you actually using the sextant. But first, you got to have a calculated altitude based on dead reckoning where you think you are. And then you make the correction when you have the data come in. But when you look at the GP of that star, that's high noon. That's the highest point in the sky, basically. That's directly over that spot on the Earth. Why do you think you have to have a nautical almanac with you? Because you need to know where those stars are at their zenith position, their plumb to the Earth, their GP. You need that as one of your sides to your triangle. Or else why take a nautical almanac with you anyway? It's just an address.
I had to explain this to my wife yesterday. So, in literal terms, I'm like, that star above us right now, now that might not be a navigational star in the example, but it doesn't matter for my explanation to my wife. In case anyone gives me crap about this, I don't care, right? So I'm pointing at a star that's directly over us at a particular point in time. Now, these are mapped and known in terms of where they are. In other words, my position at that particular moment is the GP of that star. So therefore, if you're triangulating with that star, you've got, if you're out at sea, you happen to be off the coast, and you're using the star that happens to be above my position, then my position is that star's GP, and you can draw a straight flat line all the way out to where you're measuring it from, with the angle that you get from where you're looking at it, over there. But it's still directly above me, and there's going to be a line drawn down to where I am, and then out at 90 degrees to where the guy at sea is measuring the star that's above my position, giving him a triangle. Now, every single bit of that area underneath that star to him is flat for this to work. There's no two ways about it. There's no getting around it. And there's no straight lines on a sphere to do this. The sphere's so dead.
Indeed. So you ballers, you want to keep telling us we don't understand how the sextant works? You need to go to the books that are written by your side of the argument, you know, the people who actually have navigational schools. These are from them. These are all their drawings and renderings. These aren't mine.
Very good. Hey, Chocolate.
Morning, guys.
Good to have you.
What's up,
So-
Chocolate? Can we, after this, can we, because I don't know how long I'll have a clear mic. But Chocolate, that video you sent me of Matthew, can you play that at some point?
I can't play it, but I could send it to Nathan and he could play it, or I could put it in Master B.
Yeah, I shared it already.
Oh, okay. So yeah, there you go.
What are you talking about? Video? Is it yours? Right.
Yeah, it's a screen, like a screen recording of like a snippet of 24/7. So
Oh, okay. No, that's fine. If it's that's fine. Out to 24/7 Discord. Is it on its way or what?
Yeah, give me. I thought Eli said you shared it, but give me a second.
Did you share it already, Eli, in Skype?
What
Yes,
else is
yes,
there to
I did.
understand? I'm failing to see it.
Yeah, I don't know what that straight line is. What it would be on a globe. So
There isn't one on the globe.
no, I understand.
Snacks in the back.
I don't know what that
Did you hear that?
line is.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, that was a good one.
Well, okay.
What would the straight line be on the globe?
So, who said, I don't know what that straight line is? Who said that?
After hearing about the sextant and being explained how it works, said that straight line, I don't know what that would be on a globe. So that's why we all.
That's classic.
Maybe he should talk to Virus about that, because Virus sees it.
I didn't catch add the lines all close to play the clip when you said his name or her name. I think it was he.
Matthew Learns is the guy's name.
Matthew Lertz.
Learns.
Okay.
Yep.
You don't have any straight lines. Welcome to Flat Earth. Snacks are in the back. Love it. Quick shout out to Ben White, who says, so where does the globe idea... Let's just make this bigger so I can read it. When using a sextant... Oh, I see. Where does the globe idea come in when using a sextant? Do they just beg the question a little bit? Well, that's a good question, because they beg the question afterwards, which is why it's so interesting. So they might present to the uninitiated what might seem like a plausible explanation for how they can acquire certain 90-degree angles from the presupposed centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. But as Brian pointed out, number one, that's after the fact. That's after it's actually done with a tool that's measuring straight lines. There's no two ways about what the sextant's doing. So it isn't doing any curved geometry to account for a position that would be geometrically three-dimensionally different when you actually measured it. And I think I give credit correctly to Adam, who pointed this out the other day, that in order to actually do that correctly and ascertain the GP of the star, you would first need to know where you were and where the star was at its GP position on a sphere to plot it and give you an accurate representation of where it was in terms of three circles meeting at your point. But you'd have to know where you are to be able to calculate how much drop in relation to your current position you had for that star's GP. In other words, you wouldn't be able to do it on a globe because you'd have to know where you are first. And the whole purpose of doing this is to figure out where you are. So the after the fact begging the question, Ben White, thank you very much indeed for the super chat, doesn't cut it because it isn't how the tool works. The tool is measuring straight lines. Therefore, nothing to do with sphere, because everything you see has got a bent line coming to your eye, and everything that you're referencing on the ground is curving away from you. So there are no straight lines. But the way the tool works is you just look at the horizon and assume you've got a straight line to it, as was explained to us by Virus. You just look at the horizon and know that you've got a straight line to it. Oh, really? So not refracted after all, then?
It's measured and calculated flat. So after you've taken your flat measurement, you then take it to a flat map and calculate it on a flat plane to figure out where you are. Then, once you've figured out where you are, you transpose it to a ball.
Exactly. So you can make the example once you know where you are and you've done the triangulation with the tool using a straight flat plane and a GP with a 90-degree angle from the GP to your feet where you measure it on the ground. Well, all of those things that take place and are measured and calculated on a flat plane can then, after the fact, that's my point, have R inserted to say, well, no, this matches up with my presupposed centre of a presupposed spherical Earth with the equator line being a 90-degree slicing through it. And you're like, yeah, after you've done it with straight lines, though, right? Yeah. So you've done it on a flat plane, and now you're explaining how you could have taken that from a sphere after the fact. Yeah, that's not very good. Especially when it doesn't work, because the angle to the star's GP changes if you wrap it around a sphere three-dimensionally. This is one of Brian's points. As soon as you do that, well, then you haven't got the same angle from your position to that star, because the star's position must be parallel to the other stars you triangulate with. well, they're no longer parallel if they're pointing to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth, just for you to get one single 90 degree at the centre of it, with your zenith being used to acquire it. Still changes the angle that you're actually measuring to the star, though, doesn't it? Because it doesn't match with the sphere anymore. It needs to be flat to have all the stars parallel in terms of their 90 degree positions to your feet. Every one of them must be parallel. Well, that's not possible on a sphere either. So none of it works. It's great.
Unless we live on a giant pincushion.
Giant what?
Pincushion.
They've still got to be parallel. Even on a pincushion, you wouldn't get the GP of the star parallel to each of the positions you could measure. So no, even on a pincushion, that wouldn't work.
That's what it would be. That's what I'm saying. On a ball, that's what it would be. It would have spikes coming out from all over the place. How the hell are you going to navigate on that? It's nonsensical.
Imagine if you transposed all of the stars onto a flat roof in your room. So everyone who's in a normal room with a flat ceiling, look above you and imagine that you've stuck in, I don't know, 20 drawing pins into the ceiling. And from each of those drawing pins, you've got a piece of string that's got a weight on the bottom that just touches the floor to keep the string perfectly straight, right? So you've got all these, I don't know how many, so 20 different thumbtacks, I think the Americans call them, pushed into the ceiling with a little bit of string dangling down from them. And you can pick anywhere in the room and just put a protractor on the floor and measure the angle to the drawing pin. Now, the piece of string with a weight on it hits the ground and then meets your protractor on the ground at 90 degrees for every single one of those thumbtacks. So each piece of string that's dangling down to the ground, each has a 90 degree to whatever position you put your protractor on the ground and measure the angle to the thumbtack. Now, that works because you've got every single one of the thumbtacks representing stars with 90 degrees capable of being measured from any position on the ground. And that's precisely how triangulation works. Now imagine that those weights aren't weights anymore. We gather them all up and pull them to a central point. And then we put a curved surface over the top of that central point. Well, suddenly, when you put your protractor on the curved surface, number one, you can't get a level. You don't find level with a flat bottom protractor on a curved surface. That isn't achievable. Further to that, the angle that you then measure to each of those strings that you've pulled into a bundle to meet at a central point, because you've presupposed they're on a spherical Earth, all of those angles now change. And that's effectively what they will justify as doing. But where will they get the 90 degree from? So I've said you can't put a protractor on the curve. Well, they take it from the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth and then transpose that central straight line that we don't have and is imaginary up to the top and claim that when they do it on the top and don't actually factor in the curve, they can then measure the star. But they've still got it pulled to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth, changing the angle. So every single direction that you try and justify how this triangulation on a flat plane functions on a sphere, it does not function on a sphere.
Nathan, go to the 2 slides I've just sent you and give the same summary.
Checkmate.
This is the version of the protractor, so I would be, if this is a protractor, you'd have to imagine that the end point, that's sort of right-hand side of the sun-looking thing, would be going in a massive semicircle. Yeah? So if that was the case, then this would be the seesawing protractor with you measuring your angles. And then where I described having all the different stars, there'd be one over here representative of thumbtacks, and one over here, again, representative of a thumbtack in the ceiling. But then you're pulling the line to the centre of Earth for each of them. For the top one, it doesn't really make much difference. But for all the others, suddenly you're changing the angle by pulling it down to the centre if you're saying that each of the angle represents a GP above its position on a curved surface. So its zenith is its position directly below it. Well, on a curved surface with that assumption in mind, it puts the angle of that star to a GP along this-ish line that I'm drawing with my mouse now. Like I say, like pulling all the streamers to a central point, changing the angle for every single one of them, and meaning that you haven't got a straight line to start with. So how do they get around that? Well, like I say, they dissect the sphere through the centre and say, well, when I put a straight line along the top of it, it'd actually be representative of the position you're measuring from, but just for this example, we put it along the top of it. And I say, well, will now assume that all of the lights have got a 90 degree to that line that ignores the curve beneath it. You're like, what? So you basically just stick a flat line on top of a sphere and say you do it on a flat Earth and just ignore the bit curving away? Yeah, so you do it on a flat Earth then. And when you try and represent it on a sphere, it looks absolutely ludicrous like this. This is how it's actually done, with a flat surface and an assumed 90 degree to everything in every direction. This would be the streamer I'm describing with a weight. This is a thumbtack in the ceiling. It'd be up here. But yeah, it's got a plumb line to the ground. And then from that, you've got 90 degrees to your position. Well, a star that's represented as being over here, much, much closer to the boat, nearer to its position, that's also got a straight line down to it. Now, obviously, it's got a much steeper angle from the boat. Doesn't change the fact that it's got a 90 degree to the boat, and so is this star. So between this star and this star, there's a flat surface between the two of them in massive amounts of square footage and square meterage. There's just huge amounts of flat area. We live on a massive flat plane. Hello? Is this thing on?
Yeah, we're just waiting for the ballers and anti-flat earthers in Discord to digest.
After what happened to Akuma virus, nobody's coming.
A few new people in, actually. Hello, new people in Discord. You're all off mute if you want to pipe up.
So, John, what happened to Akuma virus and why are they not coming?
Did you not hear that debate he had with Nathan? It was like his voice got all high pitched when he tried to justify a straight line on a globe. Yeah, they're not going to come here after that. He got embarrassed.
I thank him for it. I thank him for that because he actually stepped into the bear trap of, I know how a sextant works with its straight line as a measuring, an angle measuring device. I know all about it. Wonderful. Yeah. I just assume that the horizon's got a straight line to it like it needs for the tool. And he just forgot that there's been 21 months of us being told we're never going to get to see that. That's impossible to see. What, do you not realise we've got atmosphere? Refraction. He just forgot all about that. All of it just washed out of his brain for a few moments.
You just turned into Jim Panda.
Not that clear, but I think I got the gist of what you're saying. So in the same discussion, you've got Eli explaining that he spent a prolonged period in Gem Panda server being told about how the light's bending to your eyes in all circumstances. Don't you understand how atmosphere works?
You big dummy. Forgot about refraction. Oh, we forgot about refraction. Seems like you guys forgot about refraction all of a sudden, that you need a straight line.
Yeah. I know what I'll be saying next time too. Next time it comes up, Chocolate, I'm going to bark what they bark at us. So I'll go, I just assume I get a straight line to the horizon. I just assume it's flat between me and there. Really? Well, refraction for you, Globehead.
Yep.
Did we have no Atmo Day suddenly? You mean you use the only use the sextant on no Atmo Day?
That's so embarrassing.
Yeah, because the sextant can only work on no Atmo Day for you, globe-believing idiots. Yeah, no straight lines ever. Never going to have a circumstance where we can get geometric. Of course. We've got atmosphere. Why would the sky vacuum an area that the gas pressure that's wanting to expand in all directions and not filling? What? Unless that actually happened, in line with the second law of thermodynamics, we've got a fundy belief in sphere-shaped air that's always going to bend the light, you idiot. Always going to bend the light. Okay, so sextant doesn't work on a globe then. No, we just look at the horizon and think it's straight. Ah, my brain hurts.
Nathan, can you go back to that first slide that showed the star like a flagpole and the four shoes?
Got it.
If you go to the bottom, it says, you also know that the azimuth Z, the bearing, of that body will be a line drawn from the GP to your position and perpendicular to the tangent of the circle of position at your position. Go to this other slide, 2 away, the one that shows the sailboat and the LOP with the square box.
Got it.
Okay. Tangent, line, perpendicular from the star's GP to where you are. See that box there? That's horizontally flat and square. There's your 90 on the horizontal with your line of position virus. You're big time talking about line of position. This is what you're talking about. 3 straight lines. Where's the curve? Oh, I forgot sextant can't work with a curved surface. No matter which way they go, they die. And by the way, don't say we don't know what we're talking about, because we're citing your sources. This is your navigation schools that still teach it's a globe, but yet they got this in the course manual. Wake up.
So no Earth curve then?
Yeah, but to be fair to Virus, he says that we don't understand and we misrepresent the globe and its claims.
Well, that's why I use official sources from official navigation schools and do not have 1% of my opinion in anything that I've shown as a citation.
Is Virus under the misunderstanding that we're on a flat globe? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah. He's saying you look out to the horizon and just assume that it's flat and you've got a straight line to it to use this angle measuring device that requires it to be flat and straight. He just assumes that it's flat and straight. And when we point out that that's not conducive with his sphere belief, he tells us how much his head hurts.
Well, I don't think he understands what the globe says. He had to ask if he was actually looking at his cigarette. So
He's
I
not.
don't think he knows how his globe works.
No. In his mind, it was like, well, by that standard, when I'm looking at anything, it's always not quite where it's supposed to be. Yeah, that's right. When you're looking at your cigarettes with your sphere belief, it's not quite where it's supposed to be. It's subject to atmospheric refraction always. Because all of the air's sphere-shaped, right? Even though that's an oxymoron, air takes the shape of its container. But it's assumed to be sphere-shaped, and therefore light's assumed to be bending through it at a rate of r. So therefore nothing's really where it's supposed to be, including your cigarettes. Isn't that amazing? But he was asking me like, well, that would mean that my cigarettes aren't where they're supposed to be. Yeah, that's right, you sphere-believing muppet. Your cigarettes aren't where they're supposed to be if you believe it's a sphere that you're standing on. Yeah, outrageous, but you'd ask me like I'm making that claim. Like it's outrageous for me to say, by your standards of terrestrial refraction, nothing is where it's supposed to be. But when you say it in reverse, like, well, that would mean that my cigarettes aren't where they're supposed to be. Yeah, that's absolutely right, sphere-believing fundy idiots. Literally nothing's where it's supposed to be for you idiots. That's how bad they've got you messed up in the head. Believing that literally nothing is where it's supposed to be. No straight lines to anything ever. It's not quite where it's supposed to be. Why? Well, because air stands in violation of the second law of thermodynamics, isn't expanding into a vacuum, and arbitrarily takes the shape of a sphere. Obviously, therefore, the light's bending through that sphere-shaped air. Well, are you some sort of idiot? No, just a normal person that knows when I look at something I can see it and therefore it's there. There's nothing exceptional about looking at something and declaring that I can see it. Not that it's a bloody hologram. Which is what you think when you've got sphere-shaped air as a belief, because you're all fundy idiots, brainwashed.
Well, prior to the Black Swan, they did have one straight line in all of it, and it was a tangent to the horizon. They refracted that, didn't they?
They refracted everything. Always, all the time, everywhere, because we have an atmosphere. They couldn't stop telling us that for a year and change now. Now all of a sudden they need a straight line and it sucks. Oh man.
Can you imagine being
terrible.
a sniper and trying to hit something that is not only refracted, it's not where it's supposed to be, but it's spinning underneath the bullet. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, I said that they should make a Battlefield Friends cartoon about it. A guy sat at a sniper post, scribbling on a bit of paper whilst holding his sniper rifle, and going, right, just subtract the 1 for the Coriolis effect deflection as the Earth turns underneath, and then calculate for the refracted drop based on it being a mirage at this distance. And then his neck gets slit and his neck gets broken and he's got some guy crouching up and down on top of him while everyone in TeamSpeak laughs.
Globe
I
or
like Mike
sniper.
challenged him.
That's it.
No.
Globe, sniper. That's exactly right. I think, yeah, that's right. Owen Benjamin.
Oh,
That's right. He did Globe Earth Sniper. He did exactly that. We were just Coriolis effect. That's where I've got the idea from. It's not my idea at all.
So funny. So funny.
I think we should have a paintball contest with anti-flat earthers and ballers. They have to use their way, and we'll just use straight line of sight.
Didn't Owen Benjamin get completely banned off all platforms?
I think so.
I think you'll find Globe Earth Sniper is actually copyright Nathan Oakley 1980, and nobody can contest that.
I agree.
Right, quick shout out to Ben White. This message is to every person listening. Oh, okay. Please share the show. Let's promote this fantastic flat earth evidence to as many people as possible. There are still a great deal of people who believe we live on a globe. That's absolutely correct. I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you very much for the sentiment of the super chat, Ben. I really do appreciate all the support. And indeed, yeah, please share the show. That's the only reason anyone's watching, actually, Ben. The 108 people that are here because they've seen it on a share. Because, yeah, that's how the show reaches people, unfortunately for us. But we've got a good community of people who do actually hit the share button, so as much as you're smashing the super chat to encourage people, I'm not going to disagree with you in any way, shape, or form. Thank you very much for the super chat.
In all fairness, the reason that so many people believe they live on a globe, they didn't get to hear a Kumu virus defend the globe the other day.
Yeah, if you'd have heard a Kumu virus, you'd have understood that you just look at the horizon and understand implicitly that it's flat and level to it. And then you understand that you're on a globe. Until it's pointed out that that's not the case on a globe, and then you tell the audience how much your head hurts and hope that they all think you won.
while not laughing nervously.
Yeah, it is all bending to my eye and array of R. What's wrong with that?
When he got high pitch, I couldn't stop laughing. That was just
Yeah, it was funny.
The high pitch. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Don't welcome me to Flat Earth, Nathan. Don't do that.
That's why they don't come, because that's the worst words they can possibly hear at the end of a discussion where they think, if I can just shout a little bit louder through this and maybe moan about getting muted, maybe no one will notice, and then they hear through the kerfuffle, welcome to Flat Earth. No, don't say that!
Well, in my estimation, they only have a few more left, and the big one they're going to use against us hasn't even been used, and I can't wait for that one.
Oh, there's a little bear trap waiting for whoever decides to stroll into it eventually. You only debunked R, nothing else, says Unisox Femu. Thanks, Sasha. You only debunked R. I mean, what do you want? So what? We don't even need R.
Yeah, when they take a deep dive into it, there's only one other place they can go, and I'm waiting for them to go there. So we'll just have to wait.
Wait. So we got the Black Swan, which is like the two-piece, and then the Sextant, which is the biscuit. So we got the two-piece and the biscuit. Now you're saying that we got a drink for the meal too.
let's call it the chaser.
I don't know. This is some crazy New York talk going down. I don't know what you guys are babbling about.
Oh my god. Two-piece of the biscuit, man? Like two-piece? Like a chicken meal? Biscuit?
Hey, 10th, are you talking about the
KFC, Nathan, KFC.
What's that? Oh, the chicken place. Why are we talking about chicken? Sorry, someone's dropped acid in my drink. What's going on?
Okay, analogy lost, obviously. So I'm just saying how the Black Swan and the sextant is a nice combination, right? So you got a 2-piece chicken. You can make it a leg and thigh, right? And then you got the biscuit, which is the sextant, right? And now Tough Man's like, yeah, I also got a nice chaser coming up for you.
No, I get it. Now you've explained it. The black inside me, the black man understands, 33% black. I get it.
I was going to say
that's why you're my guy.
That's black thing.
Last month you were 14%.
No, that was Hindu. Just try and pay more attention.
Entropy.
I don't think you can actually be 14% Hindu. Indian.
Entropy of genetics.
That's just semantics, words and their meanings and stuff. I could be 14% of a religion.
Entropy was a good comeback. Entropy was good.
Entropy for lineage. I love it. Yeah. I was 33% black. Now I'm only 28% black. Ugh, entropy. Anyway.
Hey, Tim.
Go on.
I was going to ask him if the third thing with the chaser or whatever, does it deal with the celestial sphere?
Well, everything they have to, for celestial navigation to work, has to do with the stars, no matter how they want to look at it. I mean, the celestial sphere was based on the flat Earth. So, I mean, they got a problem there anyway. I mean, it's imaginary, but the whole point, they go back to how ancient man looked at it. And the celestial sphere was used for people when they thought the Earth was flat.
Right. I thought that was just an operation of like perspective.
It is. No, it is. It is perspective. It's your personal dome, as we know. I mean, Mitchell does a good job of this when he shows how, if you watch his video on the sextant, he does a perfect job on this. He shows the stars all at the same height, and then he shows where you are. And then because you got perspective and the angle of the star is much lower when you're further away. So it's right at the horizon, let's say, through that nasty 15 degrees of air and junk, where they say don't do sightings there or else you open up a lot of math homework for yourself. And so, something that gets further away from you is just lower in the sky. But as you know, if the clouds are 10,000 feet above your head here and you look at the horizon, and it looks like clouds are touching the horizon, you intuitively already know they're not. They've got to be at least 10,000 feet or above the horizon. It just looks that way. And that's how they got the celestial sphere, because the stars do the same thing.
Quick shout out to Alexander for the super chat. Gives me a big red thumbs up. Thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate the support.
No, it has to do. I can't wait for them to go into the bear trap, because it's the only one they got left, and it's going to be all based on begging the question anyway, and have nothing to do with sextant angle measurement. But they think it does, and no one's gone there yet.
Unitox Femu says, look up in the sky and the shape will present itself.
Right, well, the celestial...
Sorry.
I was just going to say that, Tent, the celestial sphere is what kept me a baller for like the longest time. That, and being able to measure a tangent to the horizon. I'm just surprised they're not bringing it up.
Well, they have half the stars in the depiction of the celestial sphere. You can only see, you can't see anything below 0. So you got a plus 90 and a minus 90, and the equator is your 0. So you can never see those stars that are below you, the minus 90, say in this case the South Pole. But you can see from 0 to 90, say the North Pole. And they got that celestial sphere that way. And so you look at that depiction and you see Earth in the middle. So they've got you through imagery thinking this is reality. So there's the deception, is the imagery. It's not showing it properly. So if you say, if I can only see the stars that are above the horizon line, what makes you think that I live on the globe and the rest are under, going antipolar to me. What gives you that idea? You got to have R for that, but they ain't got R. So it can't be that, even though the pictures show it's that. All their arguments are going to need R. Black Swan destroyed that in Jan 2020. They said refraction, everything bends. Here comes the sextant. Plows through refraction. Plows through refraction. You got to bring that GP to you as a radius line, and they all admit radius lines don't curve. I threw that out there. Brian was the first one to catch it. Him and I had a private talk on it. I said, you caught it, didn't you? He caught it. So and then Brian went running with it. And I want more people to run with it, because you might see an argument I haven't seen. The whole point is the sextant can't work on a ball. No matter what debate I get into, I'm going to say, how do you get an angle if you have a curved surface? Well, what comes to flat Earth?
That's why that concession. My bad, you like that.
I was just saying that before Matthew, there was this guy who tried to preemptively say, you know how you guys share the black swan, but it's there's refraction and blah 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 blah. So I went through Andrew Thomas Young's paper, but I was like, you know what? Forget all that. I said, why don't you read this right here? And he starts mumbling it. I'm like, read it out loud, and he's like, I'm not gonna dance. I was like, okay, mute yourself and read it in silence while someone in here reads it out loud. So Jenny reads it out loud, and I'm like, okay, Conscience, because that's what his name was. What does that mean to you? And then he starts talking about the radius of the sphere Earth. And by the way, the slide that I'm talking about is the one with the depiction of the three zenith positions, where it has that whole paragraph that explains that the radii have to be parallel over the
S1,
plane.
S2, S3.
And he just totally avoided it and Huey came and he's like, what are you talking about? And dude just dipped. He just left.
So the dude made a dip correction?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the S1, S2, S3 on a paper written by a guy in university describing how sextant works and what circle of equal altitude gives you from the proper viewing point, which is those three right-angle triangles in three circle of equal altitudes with the box saying 90 degree, and that's the plumb line.
And then
the
perfect timing with somebody globally who's been in 24/7, as long as Matthew learns, be in there to hear what Jenny read out and not know anything about the sextant, but in what he just learned and what he just saw, made that concession that line. I don't know what that would be on a globe. Yeah, snacks in the back, buddy.
Well, when they realize that all their zenith positions are parallel, they're going to have a real big problem.
I don't even think they're going to get to that. Let them deal with the flat point first.
Well, I asked him about the corner pocket. I was like, how do you get that box? How do you get the 90 degree? And he's like, I'm confused. Like, you wouldn't. I don't understand.
Right, the puzzle pieces don't fit. What do we do?
Shh, don't say 90.
We need it our way.
Say my head hurts. I just assume it's straight and flat to that refracted horizon we told you we'd never see. My head hurts. Shout out to Al Junkie. He says, can't find my cigs. Damn you, refraction smoke screen. Thank you for the super chat, Al Junkie.
It's a terrestrial refraction sphere cover-up. We've always been made to believe that the Earth is flat because of terrestrial refraction, damn it. No wonder the ancients all believed the Earth was flat.
Or if you're in the UK, you can't find your fags.
That's right.
Is terrestrial refraction going to change all the zenith positions to the stars' GPs into parallel, though?
Well, it would, but it
Well, they
doesn't.
say the sun
let
isn't
me
in
answer.
the
Let me
place.
answer. Let me answer. It would, but it doesn't because, as Brian pointed out, and this was what was being discussed 3 minutes ago by 10th Man, you're doing it geometrically. In other words, this measurement that's on screen now is a straight, flat triangle. You're not considering anything to do with the atmospheric conditions. You're just saying that if you're taking this measurement, the angle to the star, then the line to where the star meets the ground below is a straight, flat line. So you're not considering optics, you're not considering anything, you're just doing it geometrically. The very thing that they've said we cannot see is a geometric horizon unless we suck out all the atmosphere. So in order for the declaration that he made, which is to say, I look at the horizon and assume I've got a straight line to it. It's like, yeah, welcome to flat Earth. It's just the geometry of the ground we're standing on. Straight and flat.
Nathan, go to the slide in Master B I just posted to answer John's question.
Okay, it's up.
Thus, with our sextants, we always measure star height that is slightly too high. A starlight from stars some 30 degrees above the horizon will bend only some 1 to 2 arc minutes if uncorrected, yielding an error of some 1 to 2 nautical miles. But at lower angles, the correction can be twice that or more. At higher angles, it's less, being only half a mile or so at 60 degrees. And zero, pay attention, zero refraction by definition for stars overhead.
That's what I'm saying. Celestial refraction and terrestrial refraction, they've always separated the two. Now, when you're talking about a zenith position from a star, them being parallel, that's another animal altogether. You can't say terrestrial refraction for that.
Precisely. So the show thumbnail that I've decided to use has got a plumb bob. Just the name of the show, the number of the show with a plumb bob in the sky. Very appropriate. Can't be done. You're talking about a triangle. Not talking about taking in sphere-shaped atmospheric considerations. You're talking about triangles. It's really simple stuff. Well, for it to work, it's got to be flat. It's basically that simple. But with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Also, below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on a premiering stream, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
Why? If the medium is gone, there's no air, then you would see it all as is, right? Well, if that were the case, then celestial refraction could never be split apart from the terrestrial refraction influence, because you have to look at all of those celestial lights through the medium that's causing terrestrial refraction, right? So you can't technically compartmentalize the terrestrial refraction for the Earth and its influence on the celestial bodies. That would be an inconsistency with the original claim.
How is terrestrial refraction about the medium?
Atmosphere.
Because that's what they base. That's original basis for refraction in general. It's like medium change. You look and then.
John answered correctly. Just hold on. Hold on. John, can you just repeat what you just said, please?
atmosphere is the medium they're claiming.
That's fine, but you still have to look through this whatever to basically look at the stars they think are behind it in the far distance of space, right?
Yeah, but is it that the bait and switch though? With terrestrial refraction 706R? What's the R? Does the R have anything to do with the medium, or is that the ground? Oh, come on!
I'm not defending the globe, damn it! I'm just.
I know, but
I'm trying to point out that
refraction, that's the medium. It's like, that's the bait and switch, actually.
But
that's where they stopped talking about.
No, but I know, of course, but this is just like an in detail about the nature of their claims, right? So terrestrial refraction supposedly is caused by looking through the medium, bending it all. But if that were the case, then you'd have to look through that same medium to see the celestials. So to suggest the celestial bodies are uninfluenced by terrestrial refraction would be a logical inconsistency with their claims.
All right, I get that.
Yeah, that's why they give it two different names, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
right,
problem
but it
solved.
makes no sense.
Well, I just give it two different names.
The celestial bodies, if they say what they are, if they are what they say, I mean, then they would be subjected to this terrestrial refraction and maybe some celestial refraction on top of that.
Just celestial.
But the total deviation from its presumed actual position could not be less with the celestial bodies as they are claimed to be here on Earth, because it's going through the medium that's causing the deviation.
Okay, right. So, based on what Arwen's just very well, I might add, justified why you would have this effect that they're saying has a contradiction with celestial and terrestrial refraction. They should be one and the same if we're looking through the same air that's sphere shaped. That's Arwen's point. Okay, so let's say I accept all of it, including my caveats that I threw in that Arwen kind of disagreed with, which is to say that, well, they've just got different names, they're just different types of refraction. Who cares? One is celestial, the other's terrestrial. Just deal with it, Arwen. And now he has. We'll accept that Arwen's dealt with that. That's just how we deal with that problem. Now we're going to, with that acceptance in mind, say, okay, so we've got a rate of refraction applicable to the lights in the sky, Arwen, be it terrestrial or celestial. So we've got no straight line to it then. How does the sextant work again, 10th man?
Angles, which need straight lines, a vertex, a corner.
So straight line to the star then?
Yeah, and as I read, straight line to the star at the zenith position over the Earth, there is no refraction.
So based on what Arwen's just, obviously fought valiantly to postulate on behalf of the globe, we would accept that this tool would not work under those circumstances that we've just accepted from Arwen then, i.e. the globe paradigm of refraction. We couldn't use this tool then.
Yeah, it would work even less than we previously thought.
They have refraction table in the Nautical Almanac for just like the article I read said, but it's so slight unless you go to that heavy area right above the horizon where they say it's just too much math to go there. So they already know the slight refractive normal refraction, not 7/6R. So they know that. That's why they got a refraction table. They got a dip table, meaning get your eyes to the height of the water so that that geometric measurement could stay true, straight to the GP. A radius line doesn't bend. It's all there, done flat. And then later, they assume they did it on the globe.
Practical usage of the sextant has led to the formulation of these tables. And what it notes is the effect of refraction. As it clearly states, look, as you look through more and more thicker and longer atmosphere, look for longer distances through thick atmosphere, i.e. a lower angle, it's subject to more refraction, to the point that there's zero refraction if you're looking straight up at your zenith. So the actual function of the sextant is accounting for refraction, and it's also stating what refraction is. And it may be in its absence, but in its absence, because it doesn't cite and state any need for adjustment for terrestrial refraction, which is clearly making the statement that that is not to be considered, is not considered in the calculation. So I wonder why terrestrial refraction doesn't occur.
Because your optical senses or tool that you're utilizing for its optics would derive your horizontal by the nature of vision itself. Therefore, it doesn't really matter what you can see in the distance that represents that horizontal line we call the horizon, the apparent position where the sky meets the land or sea. It's going to be formed by your vision and give you, by definition, a straight flat line. So you just point it at that and don't consider it to be bent. Just consider it to be the limit of your view that gives you a straight flat line. And then to make it geometric and ignore all optics, you consider the ground that you're standing on to be the 0 point that you're actually going to make this triangle with, and then draw a straight flat line to the GP of the star, so that you can use this tool for what it's intended, which is a measurement of an angle with two straight lines, one to the star and one to the horizon that will extend beyond it if the horizon's GP is beyond it. Still flat, still straight, along the ground, in conformity with the land we're standing on, which is flat.
Yeah. So I'm not making that's not quite the point I'm making. I probably put it wrong. What I'm saying is when the sextant takes a reading, it accepts that there may be very slight movements up and down, left and right in its position, and you have to accommodate for that. What it doesn't say to you is, well, wherever you measure it, first of all, you need to accommodate for standard 7/6R refraction to put it in its geographic place, and then consider the little bit of additional super refraction on a refractive day where it may then displace it from that position where you should have calculated. It's not in there. It's not considered because it doesn't occur with regards to how the sextant works. It's not accommodating for it. Do you get me? It's stating one type of refraction, but in the absence of it, if 7/6R was to be considered, it would have to be calculated, because think of the positional change 7/6R would do, as opposed to the adjustments you do have to make.
Well, you would need a donkey dick sextant, basically.
Yeah.
There is no donkey dick sextant. Sextants measure straight lines. There's no donkey dick sextant.
Aww.
That too, and the zenith positions, it's a circle of equal altitude, not a circle of ever increasing size altitude as you go in altitude.
And what they said, I read that statement from Wiki yesterday where they said if on the sunset, if the atmosphere was just to be disappeared, then actually we'd no longer see the sun because it was actually below their horizon or a geographic position. Yeah, that's the point I'm making, that nothing would be in its position again if 7/6 was to be considered when using a sextant. And you would have to if it existed, wouldn't you? Because as they state, even at sunset, the sun isn't there. So you'd have to calculate where it actually is.
Here's the question, Adam. Let me just ask the question. If standard refraction, based on an R value, is a standard, why isn't it used by the sextant? Not standard when you're measuring and your life might depend on it. Not very standard then, now is it?
Well, that's why the exploration phase really only started once GPS was invented. You know?
What?
No, it wasn't.
Standard refraction is to assume a little bit does occur, that nothing, there's going to be, when you're looking at stuff through lots of thick atmosphere, there is going to be slight bit of refraction occurring. But as described, Andrew Thomas Young, MIT, all the things we've cited, this effect is really negligible. And as demonstrated with the sextant, if we go down below 30 degrees, it's negligible. And what do we have to consider? Up to 5 degrees maybe, or something 10. So, but it's standard in that it can cause a bit of wobble. It's not standard in that it creates a 7/6R curvature. There's nothing linking those two things. The standard is that we have to accept we have air around us, and it will have viewing over great distances. Some effect, but as observed, negligible.
Right. So it's never gonna bend a sphere curve that is obstructed by the geometry into a straight flat plane that's like 30 degrees away from where it's supposed to be. That's never gonna happen due to refraction ever.
You mean this refraction is not going to put a horizon line, which should be no more than 1.2 miles away, further than 10 times where it should be? It's not going to do that? That's what you're saying?
It will. It's refracted into that position until we're using a sextant, and then we assume that we've got a flat plane, even though I've got a globe belief. All the light's bending into your eyes, Chocolate, until you use a tool that just has to rely on the nature of the reality that we're dealing with, and utilizes that reality with a straight line. Then you assume that you've got a straight line to the horizon. So bent whenever there's a black swan being discussed, and straight whenever a sextant's being used. Is that clear?
Ah, okay. So the sextant is like a bendy remover.
I think the Kumu virus helped clear it up yesterday, didn't he, Alwyn? It's the light that's bending, not your eyesight or eyeball.
Oh, my bad. I thought I had those springy goggle eyes that bent out of my eye sockets when I looked at things. I'm glad he's cleared that up, because obviously those springy goggle eyes that I assumed I'd got were causing massive problems.
Yeah, our eyes are optics exempt. Our eyes are not influenced by things that affect light. Sure, they're not.
Light curves to your eye.
Well, 7/6R was always meant to deal with objects in relation to the horizon. That's why you have the fraction and R. You know, it never meant to move the position of the horizon. It was only dealing with objects in relation to it. So I don't even know what they're talking about with the black swan.
Well, that's where Rumpus got removed from the show permanently, because when I went back to look at how they'd made that claim, the very statement that was made by Rumpus was, you know it's refracted because of its position with respect to the horizon, end quote, the Rumpus. Now, as he was saying that, he was scrolling through all of his documents, and for a fraction of a second, Andrew Thomas Young's diagram appeared on screen. So when he made that statement, he was lying. To state that you know it's refracted because of its position with respect to the horizon would be to ignore the documentation that he already had, and it even appeared on screen, it was recorded by me, of Andrew Thomas Young's claim that you never see a geometric horizon. The horizon's refracted with respect to itself, because the horizon we would never expect to see is the geometric one that would only be seen if the atmosphere is removed, and you take geometric considerations to move the horizon, the geometric horizon, to a refracted, non-geometric position. Now, Rumpus knew that, but yet still claimed, as you have just stated, that the refraction is with respect to the geometric horizon, that's Earth curve. So that would be targets moving up and down with respect to the horizon. Earth curve, the thing that's blocking it, and the target that's moving with respect to it. Until you refract the horizon also. And then you never claimed that we had a geometric position, even though Rumpus made that very claim as Andrew Thomas Young's diagram floated by on screen, making him an overt liar. And they all have to be liars. We're not living on a sphere, so you've got to lie.
Right, he was cherry picking his own material.
Yeah, today, because we're talking about the physical geometric obstruction at the horizon at the Isle of Man, and the fact that it's slightly raised or lowered with respect to that horizon, well, you know it's refraction that we're going to arbitrarily apply because of its position with respect to the Earth curve I'm trying to prove in this example. Until we move the Earth curve beyond its geometric limitations, and then we never expected to see it in the first place, even though that was the very claim they were making at the Isle of Man. Which is why when they started to claim that the horizon's refracted, which Rumpus knew from the off he had Andrew Thomas Young's diagrams and descriptions the whole time. So anybody who ever suspected that Rumpus was on their side, no, he's a very adept, deceptive little shit, lying through his back teeth and has been for years. Hence he's not welcome here anymore.
Right, but if the kind of refraction they're using, it wouldn't utilize a fraction. It would be a whole number and R. if they were wanting to move the horizon like they're saying. They're confused. That's not what the math was meant to do.
No, and that's precisely why it bastardizes itself in Andrew Thomas Young's own description, because he first draws, in his own words, a line of sight to the geometric horizon. Oh, really? A line of sight? Yeah, you'll need that to get R, won't you? Al Biruni's drawing a line of sight to it to do his geometry also. Oh, yeah, well, that means you can see it. But he then goes on in the next bloody breath to explain how you can't see that thing I just drew a line of sight to. What's a line of sight? It means you can see it. So he's double speaking in his own description because the maths was never intended to do that. But obviously at some stage, somebody foresaw the problem of the horizon moving and how that would affect the claim of geometry with a physical Earth curve edge horizon. And that man was Andrew Thomas Young, wasn't it? Now, he didn't make that document because of the Black Swan. It was at Rumpus's fingertips during the Isle of Man debate, while he argued tooth and nail about how physical the horizon was and how much it was blocking the Isle of Man.
Yeah, sneaky bastard.
Lying bastard. Yeah? And that's necessitated by his globe belief that he claims to have. I would estimate that he hasn't got a globe belief. He knows damn well it's not a globe and knows why he needs to brush up on his lies in order to perpetuate that nonsense. So I suspect highly that Rumpus knows damn well it's not a sphere. He wouldn't have to perpetuate a lie while scrolling past the awkward details of a non-physical horizon that Andrew Thomas Young details, whilst telling us just how physically it's blocking the Isle of Man. Now, those lies aren't something that you just do through cognitive dissonance in the case of Rumpus. He's got the documents he's showing it you. He was foolish enough to scroll through them all while he was giving his explanations with his screen share on. So I know what Rumpus knew back then and can and will label him as a liar, because that's precisely what he is and must be to convince you idiots who follow him that you're on a sphere. When you cherry pick his information that he had all along whilst arguing for physicality about how non-physical it is. When you use it, know this. It's come from liars. Now we're going to call him out on it. Rumpus, you're a liar. I know it and you know it, don't you? And that makes me smile. I don't have to enjoy your crap anymore because I caught you in an overt lie that was easy to prove with your own screen share on screen with Andrew Thomas Young's descriptions while you fought tooth and nail for how physical the blockage at the horizon was. Pathetic. But you don't live on a sphere, Rumpus, and you damn well know it, and I damn well know it too, don't I?
So the whole time he had the citations where Andrew Thomas Young is saying all his refraction calculations were done on a flat plane.
Yeah, they scrolled by when he said, you know it's refracted because of its position with respect to the horizon. Liar.
He never claimed the horizon was geometric.
Yeah, that was the lie, Owen. Yeah, well remembered.
We do. No, we don't. Yeah, oh, wait, yeah, we do.
Well, that was prior to it. He got away with that because if you're double speaking, you can almost claim, he's in cognitive dissonance. He's holding both positions. No. He had one position, knew one position, claimed the complete contrary of his understanding to that position, only to later reclaim that he had that position all along. No, just calculated lies and deception. Carefully calculated too. Well, these people need to carefully calculate out their deception in order to pull the wool over your eyes and make you think you're on a sphere. It's pathetic. Now, we're here highlighting this, and for those of you on the anti-flat earth side having already slipped down the hill, this sort of stuff is just going to be met with furious anger and telling me I'm an idiot. Well, the evidence is all there. It's all been presented. And if you want to continue to fantasize about being on a sphere when all of the lies and deception are being laid bare for you, not only that, how the lies and deception have worked the whole time it's being perpetuated, then you're idiots. You know, you're blinkered to your own delusional fantasy about being on a sphere. You're already here with us. So if you don't recognise it, then you are stupid. And I'm going to laugh at you as a flat earther. Righteous indignation will be the path forward because you're just idiots to me. Now, catching you out in your stupid lies, either that highlights to you on the fence, or more likely on the bottom of the hill, having rolled down it and realised that you're not on a sphere but still want to be. Well, you can either recognise where you're literally being deceived overtly by people like Rumpus, or you can fight with them to deceive you. You can fight shoulder and shoulder while they deceive you. Pathetic cuck behaviour.
Exactly.
Yeah, you must be pretty desperate if you're gonna make yourself trust these people. Like,
And he
even
says you're a
in the
liar.
moments that you do, and I had those moments in the past, like they almost start to talk like like they're snakes. Like when they catch on that you might actually trust them halfway, they'll start like talking to you like a snake all of a sudden. Like they feel an opportunity to really get to you. It's creepy.
This is how snake.
Yeah, but Jack,
Isn't this where they changed the Earth curve calculators? Because they put in refracted horizon, I think, as a response, and then more notably, the note that they put on Metaball, I think, is it's not accurate for observations over water, very close to the horizon. So these, after all that stuff, they basically then said it's useless if you're observing anything at the Isle of Man. They've kind of retrospectively changed stuff and then kind of made it useless in their own.
Sorry. Just it's not useful for not useful for observations near to Earth curve. Did you say?
Not accurate for observations
Correct.
over water, very close to the horizon.
The horizon would be Earth curve, so it's not useful for observations of Earth curve. Is that disclaimer's note?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Well, you know what's when you say that about the calculators, and it used to add the standard refracted horizon. I can't find that because it used to be there. Now it's not there.
It's only a model. You can change its parameters and descriptions on the fly, bearing in mind that it's a Muppet Vision representation of the world. So, I mean, obviously we can nitpick about the fact that they're moving their calculations around and describing things as geometric and then refracted, and then telling you that it's not very much use for observations of Earth curve, which is the horizon. All that stuff is nitpicking. The representation shows you the side of your own head, and is supposed to be comparable to pictures you've taken. On screen now is a picture of a horizon with a tree line and perspective very clearly represented. This is how you see the world. Now move over to the Muppet Vision Earth Curve calculator and it shows you the side of your own head. Where's your own head in this picture? Oh, it's not there, is it? Why? Well, because it's just a representation of what your eyes take in, unlike the Earth Curve calculator, which literally shows you the side of your own head.
The Earth curve calculator is not useful for viewing things near Earth curve.
Yeah, like that guy that came in at SWAT.
Is that what Adam just said?
No, he said it's not useful for observations near the horizon, which is Earth curve.
Yes.
Right. That makes no sense.
It's an Earth curve calculator. So it's not useful for observations near Earth curve. It's only trying to calculate the Earth curve.
Near the water, looking at the horizon, which is literally the basis of the story that we get with boats are disappearing over the horizon. It's literally the basis of their shit and how they try to indoctrinate us with it. And they're saying this Earth curve calculator that calculates Earth curve, you can't use it to calculate Earth curve. It's not accurate for that. Are you serious?
Yeah, if boats go over the horizon, we can tell you exactly how many feet and inches will be blocked by the horizon, because we've got a Muppet Vision representation that shows you without perspective when you see the side of your own head, right? However, it's not accurate for observations near the horizon. Isn't that clear enough for you, Chocolate?
Oh. But Chocolate, I wish I had thought to say that when I was at Jim's. Because they brought that up. It was like, you can't do this over water, right? Oh. And I was just fed up. I was like, oh my God. But if I just said, so we can't use this to say what's geometrically blocked out at sea. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's so bad.
So we're not going to use sea level then? Oh, I wonder why not. Is it because it's really level?
Correct.
Oh, so it's no good when observing things on sea level. Okay. Maybe we should use the ground. Obviously, that's all mapped out with 8 inches per mile squared drop on every single map, isn't it? My bad. No map ever has got 8 inches per mile squared drop in any direction at all. It's all flat. So what are we going to compare on land then? We're going to what? Look at observations of things happening optically, put it in Muppet vision and say when you remove all aspects of perspective, this is how Earth curve gets in the way, even though the maps show that there isn't any Earth curve in the way, there's no drop on the map. Well, that's not very useful either. Surely there'd be this drop on the map if it was only useful over land. Surely there'd be surveying drop left, right and centre, rather than actually showing it with massive areas of flat land, precisely as is triangulated with the stars. Shocking that, isn't it? Earth is flat, in case, just like Arwin earlier, people don't pick up on my sarcastic subtlety.
But look how they even try to reify a little bit with that statement. Oh, very close to the horizon. Like you get close to it. That's an apparent position. How are you getting close to that?
You get
Call it what it is. Earth curve. Every time you say horizon, call it Earth curve.
Hold on. Chocolate's just made a good point. Say it again, Chocolate.
Yeah, by saying this is not capable of being used very close to the horizon. Very close. That's an apparent position. How do you get very close to an apparent position? Sounds like a reification to me.
Well, it sounds like they've got an assumption of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon that would be marked with an X labelled horizon and claimed to be Earth curve in their mathematics. But when you get very close to Earth curve, it's not very good at representing Earth curve. Besides the point, Chocolate's point, sorry, Chocolate, is that it doesn't have a postcode. Yeah? It's an apparent location.
Well, it would have a postal code if it was actually geometric, but it isn't because that's the thing you're trying to prove.
Right. If it was geometric, it would have a limitation at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, where that leading edge of the sphere would block your view of things in the distance with its physical geometricness. Yeah. Black Swan, right?
Yeah, that's the address right there.
Yep.
If you're at 1 foot above the sea level, well, your address, the horizon's address or postcode, as we like to say, is 1.2 miles away.
Have you all
why
seen?
is it not getting its mail? Because it's not there.
Have you all seen the Australian Black Swan now?
Isn't that where they come from?
Well, that is the case, yes, in terms of Cygnus, whatever it's called. But no, I'm talking about Mitchell from Australia capturing the horizon beyond rocks that he knew the exact distance to at 5.5 feet. Well, when he captured it, he also captured a boat beyond the mirror layer. So he had a layer of refraction, in the truest sense of the word, that gave him an inferior mirage below. So in QE's description, accurate though it is, of looming, which is where you have a false horizon projected down below the actual horizon to make it seem like a boat is floating above a position. Yeah, that's what he had. But the problem is that where the boat emerges from beyond the view of the rocks, so there's literally a big peninsula sticking out and the boat's coming from behind that peninsula, when it emerges on the real horizon, which is above the rocks. Now, based on his 5.5 foot observer height, that is where the geometric limitation of an Earth sphere radius 3959 would be, and clearly the boat is coming from behind it. So it's beyond the geometric limitations. Now, obviously, we're 21 months into the Black Swan argument now, and we already know their response, right? Look, it's got a mirror layer behind it. It's got refraction. Clearly, it's refraction. That's what we'd hear. So, okay, it's refracted then. But you could still use a sextant. You just point it at the actual horizon. Yeah? That limitation to your view, where the boat sits on, that is the horizon. It's where the land and sea appear to... Sorry, the sky and sea appear to meet. That's what you point your sextant at. Yeah? And it'll still work. Yeah? But what, refraction? So, okay, Mitchell's got a sextant in his hand, and he can triangulate his position using it. He just points it at the horizon, and in the words of a coon virus, he just assumes it's a straight flat line to it. Yeah? Doesn't worry about the fact that he's got an inferior mirage of the sky below the actual horizon that the boat's on. Not at all. It's just the limit to his view. He just points it out, and it does give him horizontal, for him to then measure a star. or the sun or anything else that you can triangulate with. And it will work with the assumption that he's got a straight flat line from his position out to the GP of the sun, wherever it may be, at that time of day. That requires that the horizon is flat and level from his position. It requires that the Earth is flat in every direction from his position also for him to triangulate with those stars. The fact that you on the globe side have a geometric physical obstruction horizon that should drop away at 8 inches per mile squared from every vantage point, leaving you with no straight lines ever to acquire a 90-degree to, and furthermore, you can't look out at anything in the distance because it's got atmospheric effects applicable always, leaving this tool that's actually very useful totally impotent if you consider your spherical assumption. Not that anybody does, it's just used on a flat Earth. So, Mitchell from Australia has a perfect timing circumstance where he presents something with obvious refraction. So you're not going to get away with saying, well, we say that the black swan wouldn't apply here because clearly there's refractive effects. Yeah, how come a sextant would still work? Like it would work always in all circumstances because of the principles of the nature of the ground we're standing on and straight lines being used with it. That still works. So what are you going to say now? Refraction? No. These tools of our world still work. You got something you want to present, Adam?
Yeah, I just went to Metabunk, and then you had Metabunk refraction calculator. So I might be wrong here. I've just put a few quick numbers in, and I've got refraction and standard. I've got a flat Earth option for later. I've put the viewer height at 5 feet. The target distance, this thing, is a tanker, but we could pretend it's a oil platform at 9.6 miles, and say it's 200 foot in height, which I assume the platform and the tank are roughly the same. So you put it in and you can do this. Look, you can put it in and it shows you where the lines of refraction occur, and it all fits lovely. I'll remind you the image of reality that we have from a supposed 5 foot observer height, something 9.6 miles away. That image doesn't represent it. That, for some reason, they've managed to fudge the numbers, look, so that the boat sits on the horizon, even though we know it's not that far away and there would be some obscurance, but they've put standard refraction in so it saves it. Look what happens to the image when I just click the flat Earth button, and what does it look similarly like? Right. If I just take off the standard refraction, which is, I think, 7/6R, which I don't know how they try to apply that on a ball, suddenly you've got things which are just with a bit of refraction and put on a flat Earth matching the black swan image. I take it away, what they're claiming.
Hey, Adam, in that picture there, where is the line to the horizon? I don't see that showing up in yellow.
In the top image or the bottom image?
There's the geometric horizon, look.
You're showing us on the bottom image. Hold on. There's 2 images on screen. Please give clarity to what you're asking about, John.
Well, in the top image, the geometric horizon.
Stop. Adam, the top image has me on the left-hand side. Correct? There's where Adam's mouse is. I'm just going to put my mouse on it because it's bigger. Here is us looking at the side of our own head. Correct?
Yeah.
So, John, if you don't mind, can you just start your question with when we see the side of our own head 90 degrees side on, and then follow up with your question, please, about the horizon. Thank you.
Okay. I can't do it like that. It's just too stupid like that.
I'll start for you. So when we see the side of our own head with a 90-degree side profile to the side of our own head, what were you going to say about the horizon, John?
I was going to say, like, they're putting the horizon at the bottom of the boat, but you don't see a line from the observer's eye to the bottom of the boat. What is that?
Sorry, we don't even see a horizon in the top image. What's a horizon? Anybody at all? It's not rhetorical. What's a horizon? When you look
Where
at
the
it,
land
what is it?
appears to meet the ground.
A line right across your view from left to right in most instances that represents where the sky appears to meet the land or sea, right? It's a line that runs across your view. Well, where is that line that runs across your view in the top image? It doesn't even exist.
Right, but as a tangent point, it doesn't even have that.
Okay, stop. Tangent point. So you're saying from when I see the side of my own head at 90 degrees to the point, let's just say that the tangent point is where that yellow line or whatever colour it is comes down. Let's just say you're high enough for that to be the tangent point. That would be a dot, right? A point's a dot, correct?
Yes.
Hands up, how many people see the horizon as a dot? Hands up. Sorry, we don't see the horizon as a single point, tangent point. That's not what a horizon is. So this top image has the horizon, which is a line running from left to right in the bottom image, as something that just is so alien to me, because number one, I'm looking at the side of my own head. I don't know when that ever happens. And furthermore, there is no horizon in this image. None. There isn't one.
Right. Well, I was addressing the claim that the horizon is a tangent point on a sphere.
It's not geometric, as demonstrated, John. What they do, all this data takes in, like I say, the refractives, standard refraction and refraction here. So they then plot where it would be based on its optical movement, based on the refractives that you've got, you see. So you see, put standard refraction in it. It gives you a bit more viewing of the boat, a little bit more like the reality. I mean, the best way to make it like reality is, like I said, is just put it on a flat Earth, and then it looks like the black swan image. I just found it ironic. That was the bit I didn't want to go into validating this. I just found it ironic that when you put the black swan data in, it looks nothing like the black swan photo unless you press flat Earth, and then suddenly starts to look like reality.
Yeah, in the bottom image.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, the top's kind of caca, because this is kind of it's the rendering that at the bottom that I'm talking about, that you can compare to the black swan image. If I stop the ground being flat and put it back on a ball, and the image resolves like this. Look, everything they've done the best to push the geometric horizon with their optical effects out, so they can put it there so you can see that much of the boat. The reality is it should probably be up here physically. They've then used all sorts of trickery to bring it there, but like I say, even that doesn't resolve to what the black swan image looks like. And this is I've put the black swan data into this. Okay, so only when you stop the Earth being curved, even when you give them all their refractive indexes, that you get something that looks like the black swan image. It's spookily like it, actually. Well, you've just got that horizon off in the background on the bottom image, and this is the base of the platforms. You can see the bottom of the ship on the water.
You just leave this on screen for just 1 second. So what we have on the top screen now is this flat Earth representation by a glober. And what we've got is a very useful line. I'll just move my mouse. I'll have to bring it on with this stupid thing that appears in Hangouts. But there we go. This green line that you've got, whatever that may be, I assume that's demarcating where they say the horizon is as a single point. Well, that's not a horizon, single point. Anyway, if we now take this depiction and say, okay, here's our position, and we're going to say that the top of this line, we're going to call that a star. Yeah, we're going to take an angle measurement to that star, and to get a 90 degree, this surface has got to be curved. Now, in terms of how this actually operates, this depiction on screen now, that is precisely how triangulation is done, with a straight line running down to the GP of the star in this depiction on a flat ground that would give you 90 degrees. I wish this thing wouldn't appear at this position. Well, as soon as you turn that into a curved representation, can you flick across to the curved Earth, please, Adam? Well, suddenly you haven't got a 90 degree to this position that drops down onto the curved surface. Now, further to that, this representation isn't something that we would utilise to represent where a horizon is, as is depicted, a single point when you see the side of your own head. That's not required. You don't need to do that. Now, globe believers do it so that they can assert that when you remove all aspects of perspective, which is what this view does, you have a single point for a horizon suddenly, rather than an expanse running across the full length of the image as it is depicted in the quote-unquote rendering below. Now, this Muppet vision isn't the world we experience, but that is precisely how globe Earth, when excluding perspective, is calculated. You don't see the side of your own head. We don't have a curving surface. If we did, we wouldn't be able to triangulate with the stars. That's it, I'm done.
I'd just top that to say, look, even with all their apologetics of standard 7/6R, etc., with all their lovely maths and their shiny bits of graphics and that, when it comes to the crunch, when they try to model it, it does not comport with reality. And in fact, the only way you can use all of this lovely maths and computer program is to stop putting the data onto a ball, stick it on a flat plane, and suddenly your program starts to at least comport with the images you can take from reality.
Well, I think there's a non sequitur they're trying to throw in and imply that things are going behind a physical obstruction. You know, that's why they're putting the horizon in front of the boat to imply that it's actually blocking your view of it. And
why would you expect to see that?
Yeah, exactly.
This is the irony, but carry on, John.
But yeah, I think that's why they do it the way that they have, is as much to fool themselves as it does other people. Is they want to believe things are going behind a physical obstruction, and we don't observe that. That's not reality.
Exactly. Why would we expect to see it? We don't expect to see physical geometry unless we sucked out all the atmosphere. We don't see that. And even if we did see it, that's not what we're actually seeing. The horizon that we see isn't the horizon that's blocking things into the distance and geometrically physical. It's a refracted horizon that could be way beyond and look exactly like it would look on a flat Earth in this model. But that doesn't matter. It's like, this model has one purpose: to assert that there's a physical Earth curve edge blocking the way to this boat. In other words, it stands between you and it. And that would be the physical Earth curve edge obstruction they formally claimed was the horizon. That's the whole purpose of this model. This Earth curve model is there to make you think there's a physical horizon. We've debunked it.
John's right. This is bent. This is dodgy on the flat Earth. Look, you're right, John. Right? So, you see on the image, the rendering, where they've put the horizon. Now, look at the way the image renders. It still puts another horizon, visible horizon, there. Now, the way, look, they've done it, look, is to draw a line as if they're on a ball still, so that the ground is intercepting at some strange line to create this fake horizon where they've put the maps. That's not how, if you were going to render this...
Yeah. The bottom line's the C line. The bottom line, if you could just go to the very bottom line, that's the line that's giving you the intersection point for where that makes it look, even on this flat plane rendering, like, hold on, why is the sea level sinking beneath the depicted flat plane?
It should be intersecting back here somewhere, look, which is at the point exactly there, look, past the ship, which is what you see, look. You see another horizon past the ship. But this line that they've then put on the bottom intersects, look, in front of the ship. It can't do, because you can see to the ship and past the ship, as demonstrated.
Oh, I
so
see.
The maths is false.
So they've given... So while they're simultaneously arguing on the anti-flat Earth side for multiple horizons, they've arbitrarily ascribed the flat Earth model with two horizons.
Yeah, looks like it, doesn't it? Look.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow, globe idiots. Can't you even represent a flat Earth in a model correctly? Obviously, this isn't our shithead model. But you've decided that we've got two horizons? What gives?
Look. See, look, follow my line, look. As it comes down, look, it comes down. This is all correct. This is all correct to here. And that's where and that's what the image is rendered on, including this back horizon. But then for some reason, you can see this line I can't affect here. This is the line that we see them placed into the image, which is another horizon in front of the actual horizon that they've calculated due to perspective, but they then stuck another horizon on us.
Right. So speaking of horizons, just one more thing. Can you go back to the globe model one more time, Adam? This is excellent, by the way. Where do they get the R for this?
Well, actually, if you just give me a second here, I can show you. Here, with refraction approximation, given an effective radius of 4618.83 miles. So that's what they do all this data in. So they pervert the ball as well, to, like I say, to flatten it out more, so you can.
Yeah, where did they get that number? The effective radius.
They've applied 7/6R to R.
Yeah, that was my original question. Where do they get R?
I don't know.
How do they have a geometric horizon if they have an atmosphere? Is this specified as not having an atmosphere?
No one's answered me. It wasn't rhetorical.
I know. You have to assume the horizon's a tangent point, and then you measure the dip angle between your 90 from your plumb line. The difference, it gives you a tangent, and that's to a physical obstruction horizon, and you can use the geometry to figure out how big the ball is you're standing on.
So you're saying that when you make this measurement, you have in effect a geometric horizon, correct?
Yes, you assume a geometric horizon.
So the effective horizon is the geometric horizon. Can you just go back to your maths again for the Earth curve calculations, please, Adam? So the effective horizon is the geometric horizon. Then is that what it states on this?
This is stating for the way they're going to then apply refraction.
No. Sorry, the effective horizon is geometric, according to this, correct?
Yeah. Well, the real horizon is geometric.
No. Stop, Adam. What's just been explained, which is correct by John, is that what's being measured by Al-Biruni in this example, though he didn't get mentioned by name, is an effective. That means he's measuring it, he's utilizing it. Okay. Geometric horizon. So therefore, obviously, as that's where we've got R by description from John, that will be what we have in effect then, won't we? And that's what this will have in effect. The geometric horizon will be the effective horizon, won't it, Adam? And that's what it says, doesn't it?
Yeah. So when Al-Biruni measured it, he measured the effective radius, including it, you see, because he didn't get to remove the atmosphere, did he, when he measured it? So he's
hold on. Am I missing something, Adam? I'm reading effective radius as a different value that you told me was applicable with 7/6R applied to the effective geometric radius that was measured by Al-Biruni. So there's a bit of a problem. We've got two different values. One says refraction applied to R. So I'm going to discount that one because it's already got R in it, hasn't it?
Let me get this straight in my head, right? Al-Biruni measured the R value, which they purport to be 3959, yeah? But actually, because when he measured it, it had refraction, yeah? Then the thing he measured would be effective, but he measured it at 3959. Now they're saying, again, we've got to apply refraction to the measurement Al-Biruni measured to make it effective, but it was already measured as an effective. They've actually just added it on again, haven't they?
Precisely, Adam. Furthermore, when we acquire this, I'm talking to John, this effective geometric horizon, i.e. effective, it's an effect, you can see it and measure it, as is being done by Al-Biruni when he takes his dip angle measurement to a 90-degree position from his zenith. When that's done, the actual measurement required a measurement of the mountain. Was that done taking in this consideration that he hasn't yet measured, John?
No, it just used straight lines to the bottom of the mountain and to the top of the mountain.
Okay. So, just to summarize, we've got an effective radius value that we will see according to this maths that is derived from an effective radius value that's geometric that was based on a flat Earth measurement of a mountain. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's how it would appear. Yeah.
Okay, would I be reasonable based on that entirely nonsensical stream of complete garbage to say that we don't have a capable of measuring horizon to give us an R value?
Yeah, it doesn't seem that the horizon is Earth curve, no.
So this is all nonsense then? Everything on screen, quite literally everything, every single bit of it is complete nonsense. Gibberish.
I'd refer to the creator of it where he says, note, not accurate for observations over water very close to the horizon.
You read my mind. I was going to ask you to read that next. Epic. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that that little diatribe
came here.
Go ahead, Chocolate, sorry.
I'm sorry, but I was just saying, Rumpus came here one day and told us that the use of the effective radius is how we would calculate to the apparent horizon, because obviously you can't calculate to the geometric horizon, you can't see it, right? But the actual radius is what you would use to get to the geometric horizon that we can't see.
Yeah, good roundabout for how we started before you got here, Chocolate. We were giving props to Arwin for a show which was about the Arwinian paradox, which is precisely what you're detailing now, right? This do-si-do going round and round in circles, getting R values from geometric values that are based on refracted values that need the geometric values to get the refracted non-geometric values to give you the geometric values, and so it goes on in an infinite loop.
Yep.
Well, the sad thing is if it would have been a consistent geometric position, that there could have been an argument to be had from both sides. You know, the fact that they're changing the geometry as it suits them is the problem. You know, the flat Earth measurement, you measure it flat, and they had a measurement that contradicted that with the horizon, but now they keep changing it. You can't do that.
You see how they give themselves an out all the time? Like when I look at if I Google the radius of the Earth right now, right? I'm not gonna find the effective radius. They're not gonna give me that off the rip. They're gonna just give me a plain measurement of radius. And it's 3959. It's actually 3958.8. Pretty accurate for freaking something you never measured. But they never give you the effective radius, right? Like it's the mind, it's the brainwashing, man. It's just, oh, we'll just use this word, effective, right, to make you say, yeah, effective. That's what we use. Because I couldn't believe when Rumpus said that shit. So this radius that we don't actually have, we're gonna use to get to calculate to the horizon that we actually see. But the one you're saying blocks boats, that one we have to use the radius that we don't use. Okay. That makes no damn sense.
Chocolate, embrace the fiction in their science. Come on.
Embrace it, yes. Nah. Nah, I'm good.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Brian.
Brian, what's up, man? Talking about effective radius stuff.
Yeah, I've just been listening the past couple of minutes. I missed the show and that, but yeah, they don't even have any tools or methods for measuring this curve. The best they can measure is a gradiated slope. Ask any surveyor, that's all you do, a gradiated slope. They don't have any, this curve of the Earth. There is no method for measuring this curve. All they can measure is a gradient. You know, it's complete and utter rubbish.
Well, the method,
as we know.
The method is the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator, and it's got a disclaimer in it that says if you're looking at things that are near to the horizon, it's not very good at giving you the measurements. Well, near to the horizon means near to Earth curve. So their claim is things go over a physical geometric obstruction called Earth curve, and that physical geometric obstruction can be quantified with the mathematics of the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator. Well, when you point out that it's beyond the limitations of the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator, they then tell you that what you actually see isn't an Earth curve obstruction to oil rigs in the distance. You're seeing light bend at a rate based on the radius that you can no longer measure when you make this claim.
Well, it all comes down to one thing. Very simple question. Is the horizon, the visible horizon, is it optical or geometric?
Precisely. Is it Earth curve or not? And you've brought me segue beautifully back to a point that John made that I've forgotten about. I was hoping to tail off with. So, John said that if they had a physical limitation to our view that was an obstruction, in other words, if the claim of the Earth curve calculator was right, John said we'd then have an argument. I disagree. If we had a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon, we, as flat earthers, would have no argument, not a leg to stand on. That's their claim. Their claim is the horizon is Earth curve. Therefore, if the horizon was Earth curve, we'd lose, right? We wouldn't have an argument anymore. The horizon isn't Earth curve. It's the end of the argument. It needs to be for us to have a sphere beneath our feet.
That's right. If it was a ball and we would go up, we wouldn't keep seeing the horizon at eye level. It would keep on dropping and dropping until you actually see a ball beneath you.
Yep.
And we don't.
In January 2020, prior to that, there was two measurements that we had to deal with in reality, right? There was the flat nature of reality that we experience, and then there was a claim that the horizon was physical and you could measure it. And that's what gives you the belief that it's a ball. And now that that's out the window, if you can't measure it, it's not real. There's no position left for them to argue.
Right, here comes the origin. So on screen now, we've got Al-Biruni's dip angle derivation of the R value. So he's got his zenith position at A, he's got a 90 degree to the centre of the Earth, and then he's got a 90 degree out to what he calls the sensible horizon, I believe. Then he derives the dip angle to the horizon that he can see. Well, that requires it to be this tangent point C with a square. This means he must have a straight line to it. That means he's got a straight line to the horizon, making it geometric to get this 90 degree where this stupid pin thing is now messing up my presentation. Anyway, that 90 degree box means that he's deriving a tangent from a physical horizon, the edge of the sphere, the tangent point beyond which he cannot see. That's what he is doing to get R. That's how you get it. Now, the moment you say that this line to the horizon is bent, as per the last depiction that I had, i.e. it's bending at a rate of up, then you can't get this C position with this little box here, 90 degrees to the radius value, in this triangle that he's using. Yeah? Look familiar? So you need a straight line. Now, when we point out that the sextant uses the very same straight line to the horizon, but doesn't assume that it's a dip angle to something on an R-based spherical surface, that it assumes that it's straight and true, exactly as his line derived from his zenith is. Now, coincidentally, he got the height, A, to B, by using the same trig that is used with the sextant. That would be to assume that this mountain is on a flat plane. So, in other words, Al-Biruni, just to assume that he's got a spherical surface by an assumption of a physical, geometric horizon called Earth curve, he first had to measure the mountain on a flat plane. Why? Well, that's how you would measure these angles. Obviously, you'd need a flat surface to get the height of the mountain. And he did, right? For you idiots to then beg the question when he told you that he was measuring dip angle to a physical, geometric, sphere edge horizon. Edge because you can't see beyond it, as depicted on this screen, in case anybody wants to claim that spheres don't have edges. Well, then you can't derive radii from them. And this is the start of your bullshit story, by the way, I might add. Because further to this derivation of R, you're going to add this R that's been measured with a geometric horizon to the, what was it called again, Adam? The radius value that's, what was it, apparent radius or something like that? Effective, that's it. This R value that's being derived from this straight line will be mixed into the refractive value to curve the light when you say that we haven't got a position to measure anymore, paradoxically so.
The horizon is not even defined as being anything but optical. in any definition. They never defined it in any other way. I don't remember in any dictionary or anything seeing the horizon being called Earth curve. It was always called like just the apparent position where the Earth and sky appear to meet. So,
not for Al Baruni. He's getting R from it.
You still have people on the globe side claiming, like they're still claiming that the R value has been measured. If you want to hear about two frauds, I'll tell you about them. One of them is a guy called Tommy Grunfeld. This guy has been around a couple of years, and he does these models. And he basically took the Blackpool photo, and I only came across my desk there last night. He took the Blackpool photo, and he made claims within his modeling that he added perspective in for a flat plane. I won't go into all the details because I'd have to show the video now what he did. But what he did was totally fraudulent. But his subscribers didn't spot it, but I spotted it immediately what he was doing. Where basically what he did is he moved for a flat plane, and this is connected to the radius. I'll get back to that in a second. He moved his camera within his model of a flat Earth. He lined up all the angular sizes of all the mountains next to the tower in the photograph. Then he moved his camera closer to the tower instead of moving the mountains back, right? So he was doing perspective the opposite way. The whole point is the mountains go back behind the tower. That's how you use perspective. But he like the effect of visual occultation would have happened, but he didn't. He moved his camera closer to the tower, creating the same effect, but it was a debunk of the flat Earth because of the way he did it. It was really, really sly, right? He's hundreds of comments and everyone's saying he's brilliant. The guy was a total fraud. What he did was completely fraudulent.
This is what you sent us this morning, Brian?
Yes, Adam, it is. Yeah.
Can you
reverse perspective?
Just one sec, Brian. I don't know if you listened to the show, but we were discussing about Rumpus having Andrew Thomas Young's information while he was describing that it's refracted because of its position with respect to the horizon. Well, in the same way, while this guy's modelling this out, you're telling me that I assume this guy's of reasonable intelligence. Therefore, he knows when he's doing this, why he's doing this, and how he's doing this. Can you imagine the cognitive pain that he would be experiencing whilst perpetrating this deception, Brian? Makes me smile.
I've got it up on screen. I've got it up on screen now. I won't play it, but I will just keep it paused and scroll through a little bit so you can see
I've got you up. Okay.
There's one thing I noticed because I've not watched it myself, but it made me. This is why I remembered. So made me giggle this morning. God, do they need us? Look how he identifies himself. They've got the acronym SAFE. Scandinavians Against Flat Earthers. Oh, share your pain, boys. Go on.
Oh, way to identify yourself as an anti-flat earther. How sweet.
Yeah, thanks, Adam, for putting up there. Well, all he does here is he moves his camera closer towards the tower, and it creates the effect of visual occultation, but it doesn't match the photograph because he has to go closer to the tower. It's really slimy what he does, as opposed to moving what he has shown there as the angular sizes of the mountains back the way, which is all these colored lines. So as you can see, you have to make the tower bigger to make the effects start to happen. So that's his debunk of flat Earth, right? As opposed to moving the mountains, the angular sizes, colored lines there back, right? But then he goes on to do the globe version, right? And he doesn't make the globe's angular sizes correct. Like his globe angular sizes there are completely incorrect. His green one there to the left of the tower is Dale Fell. And I know because I did all the angular sizes on it, that is about half the height of what it is there. But what he does that. He gives a kind of he just uses, and even admitted to me in a comment, he just uses the angular sizes that are already there, and he adds in 7/6R.
Wow.
Hold on. Just one question. Where did he get the angular sizes of them from?
I know, yeah. He had to. There's just angular sizes that are taken mathematically from.
Oh.
That's not angular size.
Hold on. We spent the whole. Hold on. Hello.
Yeah.
We've spent the whole show talking about how you measure angles to stuff. It's 2 straight lines, right?
Yeah.
So how's he getting the angular sizes? Did you say, Brian?
He's using a flat plane, Nathan.
Is that so? Bit like Alberuni had to do with his mountain, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So they have to assume it's flat first to make this assumption of spherical. I don't really understand what the claim that's being made here, if I'm honest, Brian. But there we go. You're saying how he's depicted it is to pull the camera away when he should push it in, or vice versa.
Well, yeah. Well, what he does is he does some trickery with the globe side, and then he adds in 7/6R, right? And it's like, hang on a second, buddy, right? What you'll notice is this photograph he has here, he's using here, he's not showing the left side where you can see for miles and miles and miles, which debunks the R value, right? This is called a black hole swan, and it does debunk the R value because over on the left side, even on a marker that's at the side of Blackpool that meets, it's the side of one of the pier that meets the sand. There is an inferior mirage. Now, an inferior mirage, the very center of that is where the actual surface is. So that means that like inferior mirages always need, and this is the debunk of the Soundly photograph as well. The inferior mirage always needs a surface, either it be water or land, and the inferior mirage is 10 points at the side of the pier is 10.75, I think it is, miles away from the photographer, which is way beyond what would be the geometric horizon. And you can see way past that inferior mirage. So, like, this photograph debunks R, right? But he kept that part out of the photograph. He did some trickery with the globe side, with the angular side. He didn't actually do any angular size calculations for the globe, right? He used the one angular sizes that were already there. That he must have got from Ruiff or someone, I don't know. And he added in 7/6R. I didn't even go into too much of what he did for the globe side because I knew it was completely fraudulent. Because I know from Dale Fell that his angular size for Dale Fell is completely wrong. I know because I know the angular size of Dale Fell in comparison to the tower on his globe. So he adds in 7/6R. And I leave a message to him. I send him videos that I made about it. And I call him straight out. I call him a fraud. I told him what he's doing wrong. I told him he's a fraud. He knows what he's doing. I didn't even say you're doing it wrong. I just called him a fraud. And he came back to me saying that standard refraction has nothing to do with the R value. How am I supposed to add in perspective with a model? Yet he claims within his video to be adding in perspective. Right? He's saying to me, how am I supposed to add in perspective within a 3D model? Well, that's his claim within his bloody video. And then he says the R value has been measured, and he waffles on with a lot of other nonsense. And he's asking me questions. It's like, don't be asking me questions. You make claims in your bloody video.
Brian, did he just admit his model doesn't take into account perspective there?
Yeah.
No. Sorry. Hold on, Brian. No. From what I gleaned from what Brian just said, the whole purpose of the video is to claim that he's taking a perspective account when he's describing the flat Earth representation he's strawmanning us with But then when he's justifying the fraud that he's been called out on, he says, how am I supposed to include perspective in a 3D model? That's what I've gleaned from what Brian said. He even repeated it.
Yeah, it was like he's claiming, like Adam is right and you're right, Nathan, because he's claiming that he's adding in perspective. And then when the comment to me says, how am I supposed to add in perspective in 3D model? It's like, that is your claim in your video, you fraud. That's what you're claiming. And he is, and then he tried the cheek to tell me that standard refraction has nothing to do with the R value.
Well, let's just clear. You said that twice, so let's just clear that up. So, standard refraction, also known as terrestrial refraction in standard format, is 7/6 of the radius in standard form. It's also known as atmospheric refraction. So to say that standard refraction has nothing to do with the R value is just a lie or ignorance. Either way, it absolutely does. Brian's correct. This guy's a moron if he's asserting that. Standard refraction includes R. It's dependent on R. It's the only constant. Anyway, go ahead, Adam. Sorry to cut you off so much.
No, it was Brian. It was Brian.
Yeah, but this is the thing. He knows that standard refraction is based on R. He knows this. I know he knows this. He is a lawyer. I've listened to this guy for a couple of years now, telling lies, and I know he's been. I know that he doesn't. He never came across. He never ever commented even that I'm aware of ever on anything I ever did. But this guy, I've listened to him debating people and coming up with models and different stupid photographs. And I know what he's doing. He's an absolute fraud and an absolute liar. He was making claims about himself that weren't true and things like that. The guy is a fraud. And he knows that standard refraction is based on the R value. He knows this. And he also knows that there is no measurement for the R value. He knows this.
Well,
get his
sure.
ass on the show.
Sure. Well, the thing is, though, that what you say he knows this, in the same way as we could say the same about virus, right? He knows that they're bending light from the horizon to your eye. He admitted to laughing because of the cognitive pain he was experiencing. But ultimately, it was, in the case of virus at least, merely cognitive dissonance as opposed to overt deception. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong. I have no idea who you're even talking about. I don't know who you're talking about. I missed the name.
Tommy Gronfeld is the guy's name. Gronfeld. Tommy Gronfeld.
That was the bit I missed.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not second guessing your judgment of the guy or judging him myself, but I'm just saying that ultimately speaking, when it comes down to them having to put together these presentations, I'm going to say 99 times out of 100 just because I don't know the guy and I don't want to seem like I'm disagreeing with Brian unnecessarily. 99 times out of 100, they know damn well that they're having to pull the wool over their audience's eyes, and they have to carefully calculate how they're going to do it. And they have to have their excuses lined up for when someone like Brian calls them out on it, unless they are, again, one step down on the intelligence factor, because then they won't have actually thought anyone will catch them. They'll just think, oh, well, I'll get away, I'm smarter than everyone.
Well, you know what he actually did? He tried to lead out in his comment to me, and anyone can read the comments, they're on his channel, unless he's removed it. But he might have even commented back, I don't know, I didn't see it. But his leading reply comment to my comments was that refraction, that standard refraction has nothing to do with the R value. Refraction is just a measured thing that blah blah blah. He tried to pass it off as actual refraction.
Okay, I gotcha. I missed that detail, subtle. Right, so he's performing the bait and switch. What he's doing for his audience's benefit, right, if you're happening to be one of his subscribers and listening to this now, he's telling you that refraction is real. So we're going to go through a little exercise with everybody on the panel. Is refraction real?
Yes, Nathan.
Yes, it is.
Is refraction that we observe in physical reality R-based refraction?
No, Nathan.
Absolutely not.
Right. So what he's got is a bait and switch. What he opens the suitcase and shows you is real refraction. That would be the effects of light deviating from straight, and can describe them really well. This is refraction. Right? Then he causes a little commotion, closes up the suitcase, and switches it out for something else. Opens the suitcase, quickly closes it as you look back so you don't notice that something else is inside, and hands it to you. What's he handing you? Is it refraction like he showed you in the other suitcase? No, it's R-based refraction. And when someone like Brian comes along and says your refraction that you're applying here is through atmosphere, sphere-shaped area, and is always bending at a rate of R, they'll turn around and say, refraction has nothing to do with R. The stuff in the other suitcase didn't need R, right? And that's what we're talking about with the stuff I showed you in the other suitcase. Refraction. No, that's not what you're applying. You're a sphere-believing muppet with atmosphere. See that sphere bit in atmosphere? Yeah, that's going to dictate the rate that the light is bending at in your sphere muppet world. Atmosphere bends the light at the rate of R, and you need R for your atmosphere if you think the sphere-shaped air is what we're experiencing, and you do if you're on a sphere. So your atmosphere gives you terrestrial or standard refraction based on R. What's that you say? But real refraction doesn't need R. No, it doesn't, but yours does. But deny it all you like and claim that your bait and switch wasn't noticed. It was. We're well aware of your bait and switch tactics.
I think it's interesting.
Go on, John.
I was just going to say, I think it's interesting that an understanding of the Earth being flat, to take the measurements of angular size, to then try to model on a sphere. First, you have to understand that it's flat. That's got to be problematic for him, at least.
Yeah, and exemplified beautifully by Adam Meakin. All praise due. Because Alberuni did that too, didn't he?
Well, I know what this guy did now, Grunfeld. I know what he did for his globe. And he just took the actual sizes of the mountains we observe. He dropped them all down slightly below. Like, he dropped them down a little bit over the curve. That's what he did. And then he did it just enough so when he added 7/6R, that they would come up to meet exactly what the mountains are we see. So he calculated the amount he had to drop them down. So, like, he basically cut the bases off them. He calculated how much of the bases he'd have to cut down. So if he did add in 7/6R, they would match what we observe.
I've done this, Brian.
He's a deceiver.
Hey, I've got a spreadsheet of this data from when it came out. So get his numbers and we'll check them, because this is the fun I have. I don't want to call him a liar, but I do like to see how they try to paint these things as a ball. It's like unpicking Roofy when he tried it. So let's have a little look.
I'm really sorry to do this to you, Adam, and Brian, for that matter. I'm going to put the shoe on your foot, actually, Adam. Can you poke the bear and you can officially call him out for his maths? Can you do that for me? What's his name again, Brian, just so Adam can do it? You can say no. Obviously, I'm not in charge here.
Oh, that seems a reasonable request. I don't feel intimidated. I'll send a request and say, can you send me all your data, and then we can have a good look at it, can't we? Because I said I've already done all the legwork on it, because I positioned all those mountains in the two models. Because you're going to pretend it's a ball, you have to position them on the ball. You can't do what Alberuni does and start off with it being flat, and that tends to be what Roofy was doing, was putting that stuff just on a flat plane, really. So yeah, I'll go through it. I'll send a request via YouTube and then see what we get back.
What's his name one more time, Brian?
Tommy Grunfeld, Gronfeld, Grunfeld.
And just so you've got the opportunity, do you want to add anything out? I'm literally about to round out, but if you want to have the last word, Brian, feel free.
Yeah, I have one other thing to say very quickly. And this is something that we don't need to talk about, but it's just about a second total fraud on our opponent's side. A guy called Sean Hawkins, who has spent, right, I don't know how long, bringing up to people on our side this Polaris challenge. And you know what, right? And no matter what anyone gave the guy, or anyone explains to the guy, he won't have anything to do with it. He hand waves it away and keeps saying, take the Polaris challenge. No matter how you explain it to him, no matter what you make and what you show him, he doesn't want to know. And you know what the best part about it all is? And I want everybody who hears this to go to Sean Hawkins and call him out for being a fraud.
Oh, that's sweet. Oh, you're sending fans his way. I didn't know you were a Sean Hawkins. I didn't know you were a Sean Hawkins fan.
Yeah, well, I tell you, this is the best part. I eventually got it, right? Because none of the ballers would answer the question for me. On none of the trolls, I eventually got it out of Sean Hawkins. I got him to tell me where he gets his angles for the Polaris drop on his globe, right? And he said he uses a protractor. And
welcome to Flat Earth. Welcome to Flat Earth.
He didn't even know the actual way they do it. He didn't know about the center or using the center of his globe. He's a fraud. Thanks, Nathan.
Well, as I say, I didn't know you were a fanboy, but obviously, if you're a Sean Hawkins fan, I won't retract your shout out, telling people to go and frequent his YouTube videos. Brian, nice shout out to him. I bet he's really grateful.
Sean Hawkins is going around, guys, like he gets into people's chats and does this, the Polaris challenge, to anyone.
You knew,
He's
right?
really fanatic.
So Sean Hawkins is really hot right now.
Jim Bob made a voice for him.
If you're into crackheads, sure.
Right, I'm going to round out. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ Panels for making today's after show possible. Of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, hitting the PayPal link, and all that good stuff. Also, below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!